Good evening. It's now 6:34. Welcome to Lower Saucon Township Council meeting on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. Can we have a call to or information from Township Manager, please?
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight's meeting is being broadcast over YouTube and being recorded for future broadcast.
Thank you very much. Can we have a roll call, please, Stacy?
Ms. De Leon?
Here.
Mr. Gress?
Here.
Mr. Heimbecker?
Here.
Tough Cordero?
Here.
Ms. Ray?
Here.
Also present tonight is Brian Cucker, our Township Engineer, Tyler Mitch, our Zoning Officer, myself, Township Secretary, Jay Finnegan, Township Manager, and our Solicitor, Mr. Gazuzian.
Thank you very much. Can everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We did not have an executive session this evening, but there may be an announcement about another executive session that we had. Jay, do you want to?
I could do that. Council met in executive session on June 11th to discuss personnel matters and contract negotiations. No official action. Thank you. Council met in executive session on June 11th, 2026 to discuss personnel matters and contract negotiations. No official action was taken, and there's nothing further to report.
Thank you very much. Junior council reports. We do not have any this evening. Public comment procedure. There is the full resolution outside, but we will have a 3-minute comment period on agenda items after we have public presentations and recognitions. That is for agenda items, and then we also have another comment period at the end of the council meeting for agenda and non-agenda items. Both periods are 3 minutes long, and we welcome anybody to the floor at those times. Now I would like to, with very much pleasure, I would like to move on to the presentations and recognitions. First, we have a very, very important resolution. It's Resolution 56-2026, recognizing Virginia Krause, who is a 4-time Pennsylvania state champion. Township Council would like to recognize Virginia Krause with a resolution that we have prepared this evening. So I will go ahead and read that because I think everybody should hear her accomplishments. I understand she is a graduating senior, and it is wonderful to be able to hear about her accomplishments at the school district level, but to just in general know that she's a Lower Saucon Township resident and that she has represented us so wonderfully throughout her 4 years in high school and at the state level. So the resolution says, whereas Virginia Krause has become the first ever Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association cross-country runner to win 4 state gold medals. And whereas Virginia, who earned the distinction of a National Merit Commended Scholar, graduated from Saucon Valley High School on June 5th, 2026, and will attend Dartmouth as a member of the cross-country team. And whereas she earned multiple awards to recognize her athletic success, including 2 PIAA Class 1A cross-country championships in 2022 and 2023, 2 PIAA Class 2A cross-country championships 2024 and 2025, a 2025 PIAA Class 2A track and field championship in the 3,200 meter run with one of the fastest times in the region at 10 minutes 22 seconds. First athletic to win 4 Colonial League championships and 4 District 11 titles. And whereas on May 2025, at the Colonial League Championship event, she set a Colonial League record at the 3,200 meter, breaking previous records held since 2013, as well as in the 1,600 meter, breaking a previous record held since 1987. And whereas Virginia captured her first place at the November 2024 Foot Locker Northeast Regional Cross Country Championships in Boston, earning qualification for the December 2024 Foot Locker National Championships in San Diego, an event that brings together the top 10 female and male runners from each of the 4 regions of the United States. That's amazing. And whereas in December 2024, she earned a second-place finish at the Brooks Northeast Region Cross Country Championships, recording the second fastest time by a female athlete. The outstanding performance qualified her for the Brooks National Championships, where she went on to place 10th in the nation. And whereas in 2025, Virginia was named Lehigh Valley Live's Girls Cross Country Runner of the Year and Girls Track and Field Athlete of the Year, and was recognized as the Gatorade Pennsylvania Girls Cross Country Player of the Year for the 2024-2025 season, and again in 2025-2026. And whereas Virginia has demonstrated a strong commitment to community through her volunteer work with the Da Vinci Science Center, the Center for Animal Welfare, and the Valley Mountain Bikers, and her participation in Amy's Ride, Run, Walk, a fundraiser supporting pancreatic cancer awareness.
Nice.
And whereas when Virginia is not running, can't believe, she enjoys snowboarding, skateboarding, ice hockey, ultimate frisbee, basketball, lacrosse, and is also known to strum a guitar.
Nice.
Whereas council would also like to recognize Virginia's parents, Daniel and Emily, her family, coaches, teammates, and friends, for the presence and encouragement throughout her athletic journey and achievements. And now therefore be it resolved by the Council of Lower Saucon Township, Victoria Optoff-Cordaro, President, Priscilla DeLeon, Vice President, Hunter Gress, Chad Heimbecker, and Laura Ray, council members, wish to commend Virginia Kraus on her outstanding accomplishments, making state history, which brought much enjoyment to the residents of Saucon Valley, adopted and enacted this 17th day of June 2026. So I would like to entertain a motion to adopt that resolution.
I'll make a motion.
Move to approve resolution 56-2026.
A second?
I'll second.
All right, wonderful. Can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. DeLeon? Yes. Mr. Gress?
Yes.
Mr. Heimbecker?
Yes.
Ms. Optoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to
Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you for representing us so well.
Are we gathering?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're good,
For the
Priscilla.
envelope.
We'll squeeze around. Come over this way.
I am standing, by the way.
Make sure it's not upside down.
Great job.
Thank you very much to Virginia and her family. I would like to next move on to recognition of outstanding student achievement for the 2025-2026 school year. As council, we will recognize several students representing Saucon Valley High School and their community for outstanding achievements. And there are a number of students, so I will read them as to what achievements they've had. But they each are going to be receiving a certificate from Lower Saucon Township, which states, in recognition of outstanding achievement, dedication, and perseverance, your hard work and commitment to success have earned the well-deserved recognition and serve as an inspiration to others. By representing Saucon Valley School District through your accomplishments, leadership, and positive example, you have distinguished yourself as an excellent role model within your community. So each of these individuals will receive their certificate, but let me read off who we have. So first in attendance this evening is Emmett Cook, who is a PA Music Educators Association Award for placing first with his composition Stopped by Woods on a Snowy Evening Winter. We also have Julia Court, who is the PIAA Swimming Championships second place medalist in the 100-yard freestyle and third place medalist in the 50 freestyle. Who were not able to attend this evening is Stephen Gazuzian, class of 2026 valedictorian, Nitya Thakkar, who is class of 2026 salutatorian and also one of our junior council members, Alexander Morosky, who's 2026 National Merit Scholar finalist. Carter Chunko, 2026 PIAA Class 2A Wrestling Championships, second place medalist. Matthew Santoro, 2026 Class 2A Wrestling Championships, sixth place medalist. Ryan Paxad, All-State Sixth Choir Tenor 1 in Pennsylvania. Envirothon team, Stephen Gazuzian, Jacob Norwood, Navar Gazuzian, Kyle Chi, and Ryan Paxad. 2026 Envirothon State Competition placed third in forestry, second in soils, and third overall. That's at states, I believe. Samuel Van Norman, who is 2026 National Venturing Officers Association Vice President of Territory Support for the Eastern Territories and past junior council person. So those are all of the certificate recognitions we have this evening for our high school students and teams. I would like to thank all of them for their outstanding achievements this year. And we have two of those to hand out now. Gotta make sure I get them right. Julia, thank you very much, and this is yours. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. I want to open it up to council if they'd like to say anything.
I think they're ready for pictures.
Oh, you want to do pictures now? Okay.
Coming back down here.
Over here. You get it.
Good job.
Just would like to open it up to council if you
We
have
need a
anything to
motion?
say. I don't think, not for certificates.
Okay, I got a couple questions. Virginia, what do you play on guitar?
I'm not very good. I just like to play my favorite pop songs. I like Vance Joy. Have you ever heard any of his music?
Are you a Swiftie?
Not really.
No. And Emmett, how do we listen to this composition that you made? Is there a way to hear it on the school district's website? You think? Is there?
It's on the main page.
It's on there. Awesome. I urge everybody to check that out. That's impressive. Congratulations.
Any other members of council?
Just want to say great achievements for them, and you have a great future ahead of you, and just keep doing what you're doing. Stay on that straight line. So good luck in whatever you pursue.
Okay.
Make us proud, Saucon Valley.
In the same vein, just congratulations on your achievements. And I know us saying thank you probably doesn't mean much for random people who won a popularity contest, but you guys put in the work. You got to, you got first, second, multiple awards here for different people, and just, everyone's in the community is proud of you guys, and we appreciate what you do.
Yes, and congratulations to all as well. I know last year already I was asking when we could give some sort of presentation to Virginia for her accomplishments, and I was told, hold on, she's going to do a whole lot more this school year, so we did. And they were right, so congratulations on all your accomplishments and your activities, and for everybody else as well. I don't remember there being that much variety of things when I went to school, honestly, that got awards or recognition. So it's great to see. And being from the EAC especially, I like that we have this Envirothon team. That's great. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. So for the family members that are here with the students, you're welcome to go outside and get additional pictures with Stacy. But I do want to again say thank you for taking the time out, and to the students that aren't here, I know that you're continuing to pursue the areas of achievement that you have been recognized for this evening, and we thank you all for representing Lower Saucon Township and the community. So I'll let everybody go ahead. And the last person, you could just pop the door that way. You guys can talk and we can continue the meeting.
Party.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach K.
I will.
Next, we have public comment on agenda items with a 3-minute limit. If you would like to make a comment, this is your time to speak on agenda items, so I welcome you to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Lynn Hill. I just wanted to comment about the Heller Homestead Barn project. Specifically, the repairs to the structure itself. I don't know why it is set for so long the way it is, with the fence around it and the rocks all strewn about and in a state of ruin. That's not really how a public park should look. And while I don't want to see the township spend tons of money on much of anything, I'm hoping our next year's budget will be conservative. I do hope that we can find a way to cost-effectively repair the stone structure in such a way that the public has access to the interior of the barn, and perhaps repurposing some of the stones that won't become part of the new restored, the ruins that are in place now, as seating or some other ornamental element of some sort. I don't like the idea of the catwalks and the trails and all that. Doing catwalks through a wetland area would disturb the wildlife that live there, and I just don't think that's a nice thing to do. Plus, it would create another park for our Public Works Department to have to maintain, so it would, cost us money in the long run on a regular basis. And I think we have enough walking trails and things with all the beautiful parks that we currently have. I'm not sure if the company that did the study, I guess they're known for restoring historic structures. I'm just wondering if there's a better, more cost-effective way to stabilize the walls and create that battered wall in the back. Maybe get some competitive bids on that work. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comment. Anybody else would like to speak on agenda items?
Dave Boulan. Yeah, there are a few things, unfortunately, very short time. A lot of good items here that need attention and should be spoken to. Unfortunately, 3 minutes, unlike Northampton County, is way too little. Reduction, I wanted to really talk about this request for variance for one more Steel City. I think when you require 7 or 8 variances of these magnitudes, this council really needs to reject this application. It's over the top. And if you want to, I'll go right down through it. But there's so many things to be said about it. And unfortunately, there is no dialogue. And for you that will be speaking, a dialogue is a two-way. Unfortunately, it's only one way here. And we never find out till the vote. All right. And they listed them out pretty much Is that all I have, is 2 seconds? No, I'm tying you here, Mr. Devine. Well, how am I gonna do this? Just keep going. It's really, there's something that's really pathetic. We want to spend millions. We don't even have a clock and people just do whatever. I trust Jay. How much time do I have, Jay? I would have brought my own clock.
2 minutes and 35 seconds.
Okay, thank you, sir. 2 minutes and 35 seconds. What I was going to say is with 7 or 8 of these, including reduction of the acreage by 15% because it doesn't meet code, not keeping with the local charter in the area, typically the 10 houses I looked around, 1.4 acres, this will end up per home, this will end up being 0.44 nominally, okay? Detached garages too close to these sidelines, parking, 4 cars, well, make it 20 for easy math. That's 80 cars possibly running in and out. 19 homes, 2 cars, 38 vehicles in and out. With no easy access to 78, you're gonna get out of Black River and get in the queue, the one that's right across from the shopping center not being used. Riparian buffer, we're just gonna walk all over it. We're asking for all sorts of releases on that. I thought we were an environmentally friendly town. How about we just reduce the number of houses? I'll bet that doesn't happen. What else? I had one comment about 6C. It says the solicitor is going to discuss the proposed ordinance. I'd like to know in writing who he's going to discuss it with. Is it a council discussion or are we going to take part as the public? It doesn't say. How do you prepare for these kinds of things when there is nothing to base it on? All right, so the Heller Homestead plan, concept plan, you look at the drawings and they show rock walls everywhere, and that's just not right. Those need to be fixed because that's misleading. That's drawing 28 if you want to know. Some of the trails are not on LST property. What's the total cost? Who's going to watch this? What I worry about is the next item, and that's the Heller window repair, Homestead window repair. Those are 6 years old. I remember when the council voted those in, and they put in all brand new windows, and they painted them all, and the foundation, whoever it is, never raised the money or anything else, and it just sat there, and they deteriorated. That's really sad. If that's going to be like the rest of what the foundation does, this needs attention right now. And don't dump it on the taxpayer. All right, Dave Boulan, thank you very much. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much for your comment. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on agenda items?
Mark Ozimek, I'm still here. I didn't bring the paper. I don't know what agenda item it is. What was I looking at here? I'm looking at the recycling ordeal. And I don't know who wrote this, but some of you people got way too much time on your hands. This is so full of everything. It's ridiculous. From residents to businesses to, why don't you take a copy and give it to Trump and see what he does in the White House. So now we're up to not finding businesses to come into town and raise revenue, but we're gonna fine you if you don't properly recycle. Don't you think that's a little absurd? Democrats, more laws, more fines, typical. On everything you do. I'm sorry that makes you sad, but you know what? Some of the things you do is wrong. And just like Lynn Hill said with why has the Heller Homestead been vacated and not worked on in so long? Why has it been 15 years? Should have been started when it was acquired, when prices were lower and you could do something. Now everybody's so far up in hock, money's tight to come by. Unless of course you're rich or you're with the hospital or some other ordeal where people are funding it for you. But don't expect the taxpayers, and especially the poorer taxpayers of the township, to give you every dream you have. Because don't forget, we put you up there. You work for the people, at least you're supposed to. And as far as this recycling thing and finding people, you're just nuts.
Thank you very much for your comment. Is there anybody else on agenda items? Going once, twice? Okay, I am going to move on to hearings. There are none. Developer items. First, we have Menlo Easton Land Development 1-26. The applicant Menlo Easton Associates LLC is granting the township an extension under the MPC for a deadline of August 31st, 2026. We do not need a vote on this item because they are granting the township an extension, but we are simply advising the public that they have granted this extension under the MPC. Moving on to township business items, we first have one more Still City variance 04-2026/3679 on Old Philadelphia Pike. This parcel has come before the township previously, I think in like 2023, then it was before us in 2025. We now have 2 new council members, so I would appreciate, thank you for coming to the table. There are, the other microphone is with Stacy, but if she wants to give it back to the table, that way everybody can be heard. Just press the green, make sure it's green before you start speaking so everybody in the audience can hear. And I would appreciate if you give a brief background of where you've been and before you go into where you want now.
Sure, I don't know, yeah.
We'll just introduce ourselves first.
Yes, that's a good start. Thank you.
Kate Durso from Fitzpatrick, Lentz & Buva.
I am Chris Brown with Brown Design Corp. I'm the designer for the project.
And I'm Phil Malich with Tuscas Homes. I represent the developer for the project.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairwoman, do we have the digital versions, or should I brought boards I can put up on an easel?
Stacy, I believe, has the digital, and she's in the process of bringing it up. I think there's, for the benefit of the people, if there is anybody on YouTube or in the audience to see the screen, I think we turn off this first set of lights. They're off, okay, sorry. I don't know where they stand.
The application, and it's in here, in the application, right?
Yes.
It should be.
Yeah, so I just find the page it's on, sorry.
It was page 20 in when I printed it out, of all of the documents.
Oh, well.
There you go.
Okay.
You want to start with that one, or you want to start with the other?
Let's start with we can start with the first page. But even before that, I suppose we should. So as was introduced, the project has been ongoing for some time. We first came before the township with a proposal for garden apartments. There's basically 2 residential options in the Village Center District. This property is located in the Village Center District, right across the street from the municipal complex. Our client's interested in doing a residential project. There's 2 options in the township in this district. One is multifamily rental or condominium type development. The other is a cluster residential development. So we started with the apartments, but honestly we thought that was more fitting at the time. We presented what we felt was a by right plan. We also presented at the time a plan that would also need similar relief to what we were asking for tonight. The plan was not as well received, and we were sort of directed or encouraged to look at an alternate project which involved townhomes. And so we went back to the drawing board, and under the Village Center zoning, as I said, the only other option is under the residential cluster development, and that does allow for twins and townhomes. There is a minimum lot area requirement for that of 10 acres. And to our knowledge, there's no 10-acre parcel in the Village Center District in the township. So so we feel like that right off the bat was sort of a logical first recognition of relief. But I think it's real important to sort of first explain why we need some of the other reliefs. The property is encumbered right down the middle. It's a long and lengthy property, sort of long rectangular property, and right down the middle there's right down the middle is a perennial creek or stream. It's an unnamed tributary, and
Can he have a red marker, like?
I'm sorry, I have a pointer.
I'm actually gonna
The
give you
pointer.
Well,
Is this work? Is that better? I'll take that, yeah. Great. All right, super. And if you want to switch to the first drawing in the slide for others. So right down the middle of the property is this perennial creek. It's an unnamed tributary.
That's it.
Yep.
Hold on.
And what it really does is it sort of bisects the property. And by itself, it's really not causing that much of a problem, but what comes with it is a bunch of regulatory and rightfully, understandably so, resource protections that are outlined in the township ordinance. And some of them are more tangible than others. You know, the creek itself obviously is a physical limitation. There's wetlands, which you see in pink, illustrated on the plan. Those obviously are areas of avoidance. We went further in this new application. We went further to define what would be the 100-year floodplain. There was no FEMA designated 100-year floodplain, but it was something that came up in some of our prior presentations and hearings. So we delineated the floodplain. That has very specific protections. That's shown in orange. And then there's these areas that are buffers. And one of the commenters in the beginning of the meeting tonight talked about our buffers. What we're seeking relief from is from a dimensional distance, an area that is defined by ordinance only. Right now out there, you could not define or locate the riparian buffer because it is just a mathematical measurement. And what that is just an offset distance either from the creek or from the wetlands. And when you add up all of the environmental encumbrances on this property, plus the right-of-way that we have to either recognize as existing or dedicate as proposed, and then the fact that the creek sort of annexes a portion of the property closer to 378, which, although developable, we cannot get to it, almost 80% of the site is undevelopable. So, so we understand the variances are not something to be taken lightly, but we also recognize that, you know, it's got to be proven burden of not of our own doing, right? So this is natural conditions of a long and lengthy rectangular property that has resulted in quite a bit of undevelopable area. So our proposal then is to go with 19 townhomes, where mathematically by the regulations and the zoning ordinance, even despite all of the encumbrances on the property, the math actually checks out to where 44 units would otherwise be allowed by right. We would gladly fit 44 units on this property if we could, but we can't. 19 units is what will fit. They're situated in close proximity to the road, which was deliberate to sort of be in keeping with the character of Old Philadelphia Pike. You know, there's a variety of homes and businesses, but they're all situated relatively close to the street. We deliberately chose to do this rear loading concept with an alley, you know, private alley or driveway in the back so that we wouldn't have numerous driveways coming out onto Old Philadelphia Pike. One of the advantages to this plan and going with this cluster option, as opposed to if we went with traditional 60-foot wide lots, which is the minimum lot width in this township, we could end up with 13 legal driveways out onto Old Philadelphia Pike if we basically cut it up into the minimum lot width size lots along Old Philadelphia Pike. Because we did the rear loading townhouses with just private drive entrances, 2 of them onto Bethlehem Pike, we get all the rear loaded access from the back. So it's really the least amount of impact that we could come up with in terms of driveways and you know, and the related traffic issues that you would associate with comparing that to having 13 individual driveways onto the road.
And just to add to that, so when we were here previously with council, some of the other things that we learned, in addition to council sort of asking us not necessarily to advocate for the garden apartments, but to do these townhomes, it was brought to our attention by the historic committee that the property previously might have been a spot for the Underground Railroad. And so we were working with the historic committee to locate where on the property that we could place a marker, and that has now been included specifically into the project as a specific area to recognize the past history of the property. And maybe you want to expand a little bit on that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I was getting a little bit long-winded here. I'm just trying to get a little bit of the background, but really, we're here to sort of describe the changes to the plan, and there's two primary changes. One, as Ms. Durso has indicated, we've adjusted the plan and adjusted the quantity of units to accommodate the what was identified by the Historic Committee as the remnant foundation of the garage or the barn or the smaller structure on the original homestead that currently exists on the property, and that was requested that somehow be recognized, memorialized, a marker be placed. Our client is willing to go the distance and actually restore a portion or remnant of the foundation and make it publicly accessible via a public access easement that would grant access not only to the residents, but also all residents of the township via the sidewalk or from the public street to come in and observe. And we were gonna work with the Historic Committee to fashion whatever that message and interpretive signage might be. We're not the historians, so we're gonna look to them for their guidance on that. So,
and at the bottom of the plan, we did put some indications of some suggested, of what it could look like.
yes.
The historic marker and have a kiosk there.
Right.
And if you remember before, we were maybe placing it further back on the property. Here now it's forward facing, it's right at the front. That did result in one additional variance because the ordinance doesn't allow more than 8 connected units. So we have 2 on the one side and then we have 9 next to it. But that again was to allow for that area to be reserved. The other thing that some of the council, the newer council members should be aware of is we also had previously agreed that the area of the property adjacent to 378 was going to be deed restricted, no further development in the area. And while it's not accessible, it is developable, portions of it. So we were going to deed restrict that and make sure there was a covenant running with the land that would prevent any further development of the property along Route 378. That
Was
section.
the conservation easement on the environmental features? I believe there was a conservation easement proposal.
Yes, yeah. We didn't finalize exactly what the language would be, but it was going to be something that would run with the land and make sure that it wasn't going to be further developed in that area. There's other easements that go into play just by virtue of the riparian, but this was in addition to that for the portion of the property that technically is not subject to that riparian, but would be restricted from being able to be developed along the 378 side.
Okay. And can you just summarize the variances that you're requesting?
Sure. So, go ahead.
Okay, I go right down the list, with the first one being the lot area, as I mentioned in the beginning. The only other option to develop the property as residential was the cluster development, which is a 10 acre minimum lot area. And this lot is not 10 acres, and there's no other lot other than, I think, the municipal complex here that's 10 acres in the Village Center District in the township. And I think the thing to point out here is even with the variance and even with the maximum density that's allowed, we're well below 50% of whatever that density would have been otherwise. So granting this variance, while it sounds maybe significant to some, it does not result in any increased density. What it does is it provides us the ability to develop this as townhouses. That's all it really does, is grant us the ability to develop it as townhouses. It does not bonus our density. It doesn't change. We could actually get more apartments. Our by right apartment project was 39 units compared to 19 townhomes.
And the apartment didn't require a minimum lot variance because it doesn't have the same restriction of the 10 acre requirement.
I just had I recall one other time that you were before council, you explained the current conditions of the riparian buffer area. Is it still, as I recall, that it was explained that it's currently mowed grass, and that what you're proposing is to actually build a more substantial natural riparian buffer that you would think of when you're thinking of a riparian buffer. Can you explain what you're doing there?
Sure, and you're exactly right. Historically, you can look back over Google Earth, historic video or aerial photos. The area has been mown or farmed or maintained all the way pretty much to the creek bed, with the exception of the areas of the wetland where, a mower or a tractor would get stuck. So with this project, and actually you can kind of see it on this plan, where the smaller rectangle sort of encompasses the townhouse area and the driveway, that's going to be the developed area. Everything else that you see beyond there is going to be preserved and left natural, and not intended to be mown or maintained in any way outside of a natural establishment. We had to do some stormwater management maintenance in the basin, I'm sure, but so that area that's now currently just a dimensional buffer has the ability to actually become and grow into the riparian forest buffer that it should be.
Are you proposing doing any plantings there to support that?
We certainly are, yes, yep. Whether we're going to use it as part of our stormwater management and credits, there's DEP regulations that actually guide us on how to do that. Whether we have to do it for regulatory compliance or do it voluntarily, that's something that we plan to do.
Yeah, and I would mention that when we did get some feedback from the neighbors, it was asking us if we could preserve a lot of the trees along the property line, which is what we said was our intent, obviously, and not to take down any large trees if we could avoid it.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
A lot of the grouping of the variances have to do with that riparian and how it's defined in the ordinance, and to allow for some of that stormwater improvements and utility work. And so a lot of those variances, while it seems many in nature, they kind of are repetitive in the ordinance, those sections, because it kind of, again, pertains to, what we're allowed to do in the riparian as far as allowing the utilities, the stormwater that Chris mentioned. We can go down them individually, but a lot of them are kind of grouped together. We also had the requests for the setback related to the detached garages, and that's just because if the garages were actually attached to the structure, we wouldn't need the relief, but because they're a separate structure, it requires the setback, and because they also are townhomes, they can't necessarily be set back from the property lines to which they're joined. So it was really that's just a mechanism of the fact that they're detached garages as opposed to your standard garage that you would normally see. And as Chris mentioned, the goal with having them be rear loading was to, again, eliminate the number of access points on Old Philadelphia. And as you can see, one main access is lining up with the access immediately across the street here at this complex.
So can I just ask a question? Where would they put 44 units on this plan? Who said that?
For the apartments? Yeah, so I don't know, we have that plan with us.
Well,
I just can't imagine looking at this.
I think what I was mentioning is the way the township ordinance works is it's a formula. I'm not saying that they would fit, but what I'm saying is mathematically, saying we could, maybe we put tiny homes, maybe we put something, but mathematically, per your own ordinance, after we take out all the encumbrances and everything, it still supports a project of 44 units. And I only mention it to just show that we're well below, 40% of what would be otherwise allowed if we could find a way to do it, right? That was the only reason for that comparison. I apologize. And one other thing I wanted to say about the detached garages is it also, we did the detached garages so that we would have the rear access, but we also did it so that we would have, each individual unit would have sort of this private backyard space in between the unit and the garage, which I believe maybe is written into your ordinance somewhere where there's a certain amount of private area for townhomes. It's in a lot of townships ordinances, but I seem to recall it might be in yours. But it's a nice feature to build into a residential design.
And one of the other requested variances pertains to the fact of how we have our access, both the points of access off of the old Philadelphia Pike and the fact that we believe that we're trying to establish it more as like an alleyway as opposed to having to meet actual roadway standards, because it's going to be a private HOA maintained project. And, you know, so the only access to it is going to be to those who either reside there or are visiting there. And so there are some ordinance requirements that are more driven to a typical roadway network that you would have in a more standard townhouse development.
Right, exactly. That's,
This is all HOA maintained.
Correct.
The roads, and it has sidewalk frontage that
Yes.
would provide the public the ability to go look at the historic feature and
Yes.
get across from Town Hall Park.
Correct. Yes, there'll be a
Right,
sidewalk.
and, one thing I would add is that we talked about this loosely before, in terms of working with the Historical Society to engage access to the foundation and the marker that they were talking about earlier, is working with the Township Engineer's Office on establishing a crosswalk across Old Philadelphia Pike at an appropriate location to make that happen.
Okay, can I just ask a question for time-wise? The Historical Committee won't meet again until July 20th. So where does that put you guys?
Well, the zoning hearing is on Monday,
Right.
so we need to get, obviously, all the variances before our next step.
Right.
If we were to get the requested relief granted, then the next step would be the land development.
Okay,
And-
so that's when the Historical Committee would come into play.
Yes. I know there has been requests before too of some additional, we did allow them access before to the structure, you know, to kind of look into it. I know that there's been some additional interest in that, and we figured that would be once we got if and when we get the zoning relief, we can engage in those conversations. I think they might want to take some photographs inside. I know there's, I think, some other type of things that are physically in the building that the Historic Society was interested in having, and I don't think anybody's opposed to that, but we just need to get past the zoning hearing board first so that we know the project's actually going to proceed before we start taking everything out of the structure.
Well, Jay can let us know, let the Historic Committee know. Where's Jay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to clarify like what happens in this process, because I know there were some public comment that we approve or not approve this project at this stage. What happens at this point, because they need variances, is they come to council to present what they're going to the zoning hearing board with. And the council has options to either take no position on the proposal that they have. They can, we can oppose the proposal, and there's numbers of things you can do there, or you can do things to support the proposal, but we don't make the decision of whether or not they get a variance. The variance goes before the zoning hearing board, which, as Attorney Durso stated, that the meeting is next Monday, which she will then go before that board, assuming with the same project, and that board deliberates over these variances and determines what would happen with the variances, and then from there, the project either moves forward or doesn't, or whatever the developer decides to do if that's the case.
And then we would ultimately have to come back, but
Yes,
that would
with
be in the form of a land development. Correct.
Once they have to come back before us, and then all of the very specific details on land development and going through the engineer's office to comply with all of those things, working with our historic committee to bring the historic marker to life and all of that, that would all take place later on.
Correct.
Down the pipeline. I just want the public to understand, we're not approving a variance this evening. We don't have that jurisdiction.
Yeah,
So-
and the other thing that the land development will do is we'll go before your planning commission. And the planning commission is very involved in the land development review
And
process.
I think the EAC gets it also.
They do. Typically, we get a review letter from the EAC as well.
Right. So I did want to open it up to other council members if they have questions at this point in time, and then we can discuss how we want to proceed with what we want to do. So I know Priscilla had a couple questions. Do you have any more questions?
Well, no, I just wanted to state about the historic kiosk. I was glad to see that on the plan, and, you know, the Historic Committee will be working, you know, on that with the recommendation if it goes through zoning. And I guess that's about it, so thank you.
Hunter, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I know this is a very, zoomed out bird's eye view, but do you guys have a rough idea on kind of the price points we'd be looking at for these and what type of you'd want to be bringing in? Are we bringing in new or young families, or is this more towards retirees? What's it kind of marketed towards?
No, I think it will be a young professional community. Maybe somebody that works at the township, I don't know, it'll be a nice commute for them. Last time we were here, which was when things were a little bit cheaper, and it's depressing to hear that we've been going at this since 2023. Yes, that's true.
You are right.
But originally, we were targeting like upper 400s as a starting price for these. So that's kind of where we would be. We would be building them, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hunter? You're looking for property in the township.
We do think it would be attractive to families because of the proximity to the municipal complex.
Yeah.
But certainly could be, a great location for, retirees or whatnot as well.
Yeah. I saw the private area, the backyard between the garages, and to me, that seems like a safer place for someone's kids to be. You're isolated from roadways, you kind of have your own area. So it looked to me like it'd be something to attract young families to the area, which is always a good thing in my eyes, so.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's an advantage too with the fact that the rest of the property not being able to be developed. So again, what you're saying from them being able to, have that area, but there's also going to be lots of grass and other area in the back of the property.
I think that's all I had.
Thank you. Laura, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just had a couple comments maybe and question. So I just wanted to point out, I know the one variance is regarding the 10 acres, and I kind of think it's a shame that we just have that one generic number. And I think mainly when we came up with cluster development a long time ago, most of it was rural agriculture areas where we had giant chunks of land, and we did have a lot of developers trying to do all kinds of things, and we saw that as a good way to concentrate houses to free up, keep space open. I think you're doing a great job of a cluster. I'm not really hung up that, you only have 8 acres, but when you do the calculations, it's an 8.35 acre tract. 5.98 acres is going to be open space, so that's 72% of the lot stays open. And it's the stuff with all the environmental features. So I think you meet the goal, in my mind, of cluster development. So hopefully nobody gets hung up on that one. I had a question about the one is regarding the landscaping relief then, that you have
Sure.
relief. It's 180-97A, if that helps you.
Yeah.
The buffer along the existing abutting commercial property. Now, can't tell when you drive by on 378, there's the paint store and the landscaping business and whatever stuff over there. Right. And there is a row of trees, but it's hard to tell. Is that already on this property or is that on that side? It seems like there's already a buffer there.
And that's exactly the only reason why we're asking for it, is because it's predominantly there. Whose it is, I think it's sort of up in the air. It may be a little bit on the line. It may be a bit of both. But it's not only that, but it's also considerably far from our development. So we don't feel like our development's a negative to their existence. It's really more a matter of, we just don't think it's that our residents, our clients are going to really, they're not going to value it, right? It's not going to be necessary. So
We also didn't want to remove mature vegetation and replace it with, smaller trees.
Right. So, I don't see, I wasn't clear on where it is, but just visually looking at it, looks like a buffer's already there. So, I don't see that being a big deal either. Yeah, we've seen this before repeatedly, and this is like worlds better than where we started with 3 big giant apartment buildings, which to me would have been a lot more traffic happening.
Yeah.
This limits it, and with the 2 roadway entrances, I think I'm pretty favorable to the plan.
Thank you.
Can I add something to Laura's thing? Is there any way that we can get like a covenant or something to protect the buffer that's already there? Because I could see 10 years from now, somebody will say, oh, we don't like that, we're gonna get rid of that.
Ms. De Leon, that's the area that we were talking about, that even though it's not encumbered, and Chris, maybe you can just point that out for council, like, there's the strip that is at our eastern property line, which is the property line along 78, that isn't actually encumbered by these numerous buffers and such that you have in your ordinance. And what we're willing to do is encumber all of it, even though the ordinance doesn't. So we're gonna put that in a conservation easement.
So that'll be included, that way.
Everything.
I got it. I'm understanding it better.
All right, may I?
Hunter, go ahead. I mean, sorry, Chad. Go ahead.
First off, I've kind of followed this a little bit since last year, and I appreciate the time and effort that you have all put in to trying to accommodate all these variances and your desire to, you know, do development within the township. I think this is a good idea and a neat idea and a nice use of the space. And again, I'm just one voice out of many, and I'm not on the zoning board, so I don't get to make the decisions at the end. I do have some concerns, or maybe some thoughts or feedback. And I guess one of my questions to start off is, if we're looking at the riparian buffer that's demarcated by this lighter green section, it looks like now it looks, again, part of the driveway in the back as well as some parking areas are now falling within that space. And that then rides up into some of these detached garages. Can you give me a dimension from where the edge of the waterway is to where the edge of paved surface will be?
Well, it will vary.
The closest point, at that one extra parking space in the back.
Grab
here. Here to here.
Yeah. Sure, let me
We got there.
grab a scale. It looks to be about 40 feet.
40 feet. Okay, all right. I took a watershed steward course last year, and down at Stroud Water Research, you know, they suggest a minimum of 30 feet with at least 100 feet of turf grass outside of a minimum of 30 of riparian buffer that's trees as well specifically. So I don't know if you're planning on putting trees out 30 feet or not, but that really is what's the minimum required for capturing particulates, pollutants, microplastics, things like that.
Yeah.
So we want to maximize the amount of tree coverage over this stream as much as possible. So it's good to hear that it's at least over that minimum. 100-year floods, I don't buy it. I see that we have increased storm surges and, you know, a 1 out of 100 chance every single year for something to come creep out of that. These garages are going to get flooded at some point. What's the drainage situation in the back, and how does that compensate for flooding risks, that we don't damage these properties? What is the insurance issues? Can they get flood insurance at this property? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, maybe it's just my opinion on all of this, and I appreciate the cluster development. I like the idea. I'm not opposed to apartments. I don't foresee that there's a huge traffic issue on this road to begin with. Maybe there's a way to put the garages underneath the building structure and give a larger lot in the back of space. Maybe you put the garage on the front underneath and make it a 3rd floor. Are these 3-story or 2-story buildings?
They're 2-story buildings with a gabled roof.
Yeah, I mean, what if you made it 3 stories and put the garage out front and did all the driveways out on the frontage road and got rid of the back here and extended the private space and the lot size for each individual member? Maybe that's something to think about. So, you know, on the EAC, and we've done some reviews, and I want to make sure you're following our low impact development guidelines that we have in our ordinances, which again calls for cluster developments. It's also impervious surfaces, looking for permeable pavement where applicable to help distribute some of that groundwater, and any retention ponds to try to make them green infrastructure, bioretention bases with native species. And I appreciate, again, your efforts to try to pay respect to the cultural history and heritage of the area with that marker. So again, good luck with zoning. I'm not, we're not in charge of that. I'm not a fan of some of these variances on the environmental side of things, from an environmental perspective, but I see the limitations and I appreciate the, compromises that you're making in setting aside an easement for the remainder of the property. And I'll leave it at that.
Appreciate that, Mr. Heimbecker. One of the things that we'll get into more detail with the zoning hearing board is we'll talk real numbers about some of these variances, because they, at the surface, they do sort of sound concerning, right? But when we actually drill down into the numbers and talk about how much square footage we're over the 15% allowable disturbance, it's really pretty minimal. I think at the last hearing, I sort of described it with like almost the square footage of this room was like how much we were over what was allowed compared to an 8.5 acre site. So we're gonna try and put some of that stuff into perspective. And on top of it, as Mr. Malich has mentioned, we're kind of doubling our preservation efforts in the back. So we're really we're doing a lot of offset, and there's a lot of give and take. This project is without a doubt a lot of give and take, but your comments are well received, and we know those are our challenges that we need to address.
Yeah. So I hope this is a worthwhile adventure for you, and that we can do it with the minimal amount of degradation to the natural space. But it sounds like you're on the right path and trying to do the best in accommodating.
Yeah. One thing that we didn't mention, but is one of the other more significant changes to our plan is that we really have dove into the stormwater, in addition to voluntarily mapping the 100-year floodplain, and our civil engineer is here and can attest. But we've also evolved our stormwater management plan to something that we think is worked out to the point where this is our final, composition of the site design. And we looked at all the flooding concerns that were brought up by previous neighbors and issues during prior meetings. And we really took that to heart. And we think we've got a project and a design here that meets all the objectives and is going to provide a safe and functional development.
Are there basements?
Yeah, we would have basements on the townhouses, not the garages, obviously, but the townhouses.
Okay.
And since you mentioned that, I did attend the zoning hearing because I'm always curious to see how these stories play out. And I know there were a number of neighbors there that asked questions, and I think they were all addressed.
Yeah, that's, yes.
I didn't see that people walked away upset that they didn't have their concerns properly addressed.
I agree 100%.
Important to see.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Laura and Chad. I do have one question. Last time you were before us, there was an interpretation variance request. And at that time you had said that you were willing to withdraw that interpretation requests. Is that still the case now? Are you not seeking any interpretation?
Yeah, we don't have
Okay. So I do want to, I don't want to belabor, we've had a lot of discussion here already, and I appreciate all of council's questions. I will say I appreciate that in this instance, this particular developer spent a lot of time with the township staff and with our historic volunteer committee to try and develop something that the community wanted to see, and that also represented and memorialized the historic features that are believed to be there at the site, or represent the historic nature of that parcel. So I think, in this instance, it's a nice example of how a developer can work with the township and the community members to try and do something that benefits everybody. And so I do very, very much appreciate the developer's time and efforts to do that. And in addressing things, I do like the back parking, as opposed to having any garages in front. I know that sometimes it's difficult, cars trying to back out onto Old Philly Pike is not ideal.
Yeah.
So, having the cars being able to back out in the back and then come forward facing when they try to enter Old Philly Pike is ideal. I think that this is a win-win for the community, but we are not the zoning hearing board, so we don't make that decision. I will say last time council did direct our solicitor to do a letter which highlighted the developers' representations that they would pursue the preservation of a historical marker and the public access and the conservation easements. So, I don't know what other members of council feel, but I would either entertain a motion for, take no position or a motion to support this application, provided that they continue to put forward the plan that depicts the preservation of historic features and conservation easements as represented by council.
Before we go forward with that, can I just ask another question came to me while we were.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the right-hand side of your development here behind building number 1, I guess you would call it.
Yes.
I noticed the road just kind of dead ends there. You only have the 2 entrance points, one kind of in the middle and one on the left-hand side.
Yes.
Is there a plan to make that a cul-de-sac of some sort? Something that, if I was going to, say, a friend's house at apartment number 7 and I passed it, a way for me to turn around easier in there?
That's a great question, and, we don't feel that the number of units on that, what we'll call a stub, if this was a public road, it would be a stub road, and it obviously wouldn't be acceptable. The fact that we're designing it as a private driveway, we've got, generous driveways into the rear garages, and we've got these are really the sort of the visitor parking stalls, so in addition to 4 spots per lot, per property, 4 parking spaces per property, we have another half a space per lot as visitor and overflow parking. So we're really thinking that that's going to be a once in a blue moon, kind of issue, and we think that would really result in more disturbance, more impervious cover, and for very little gain. So,
but my bigger concern with that too was also just with fire apparatus. If I'm gonna have to respond back there,
absolutely.
Getting out of there, you're gonna have to back the truck or apparatus all the way down the road to the next exit point.
Right, and we'll certainly run everything, all of our plans, and that will be during the land development process. We'll go through, fire department review and stuff. We do include in our application, there are movements showing that the apparatus can get in there. And if they did have to go all the way into and behind site number 1, they would have to back out a certain, distance before they would exit again.
But we do have a significant width of that.
Oh, it is. It's 20. I think it's your ordinance is 25 feet for 2-way traffic of a driveway. So we meet it's a significant driveway.
What about making the whole thing a U and putting that other road on the edge of the property and then?
You're on to one of our variances, and that would be another variance if we wanted to do that. We're trying to comply in every way that we can with the project and limit our variances only to the bare minimum. We include a variance request, even though we don't think we need it for driveways, because there's one lone garage across the street on the municipal complex. It's just like a storage garage and has a driveway. That's the only driveway that we don't comply with. But where our locations are now, they meet all the other adjacencies. If we would move that one further north, it would become non-compliant, and therefore.
It's also not able to, if you pulled it down, you wouldn't be able to align it with the one across the way.
Yeah, I'm not saying to align it, just that it would make sense to have almost a single.
We don't disagree with you there, but it would be an unsafe relationship with the driveway on the immediately across the street. That would definitely be too close.
I figured there was a reason for it. I just kind of wanted to hear your explanation of your reasoning behind it and why you guys decided to go that route.
Appreciate the question.
Okay, so at this point.
So I would be willing to make a motion if we want to write a letter of support And then do we also need to include all the specifications about, like was in the letter before regarding historical marker, conservation easement and all that?
What I would recommend is if somebody is willing to make a motion to authorize the solicitor to write a letter of support to the zoning hearing board solicitor, indicating township council's support of the application with or conditioned on the representations made by the applicant before council, which included the historical marker and historical kiosk, public access to the markers, as well as a conservation easement or deed restriction for the area between the riparian buffer and 378. One could make that motion.
Okay, I was trying to make a motion as such. So we'll just, what Steve said, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, can I have a roll call on that?
Mr. Grass?
Yes.
Mr. Heinecker?
Yes.
Ms. Altop-Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. De Leon?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck at the zoning hearing board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Midland Variance 05-26/2022 Springtown Hill Road. Looks like we have another set of attorneys and engineer here to present this, which has not previously come before council.
I thought we did talk about this one before.
I don't think so,
Couple months
did we?
ago.
Yeah, this was here.
It was here, sorry, I'm mistaken, it was here. But I'm not gonna represent any dates, because I don't know.
It wasn't here 4 times, though.
No, not.
Good evening. I'm Joe Buba. With me,
Ray Midlam. We're the owners.
and over there Scott Pistersky, our engineer, setting up. Thank you for putting that up.
You wanna go ahead and then just present
Sure.
your project and what you're looking?
So I don't forget, congratulations, Mr. Gazuzzi. It sounds like your son's quite a student, so, okay.
There's a pointer right in front of you, to your left. Yeah.
If you need it for the screen.
Right, okay, thank you. Okay, yep, thanks. Okay, I think this one's easier, okay. So this actually is a redesigned plan also, not to the level and not over the chronological period of my partner who just was here. But this is a single-family residence planned to be constructed on an 8+ acre parcel. And before I mention specifically the variance request, because it is relevant, because of the community benefit is always relevant to a variance, I'm gonna ask, I saw how interested everybody was in conservation and in historic structures. So I'm just gonna take literally a minute to have Mr. Midlam explain what's on the property and what he and his wife plan to do with that, with those structures and with the open space.
Sure. If you're not familiar with the property, this property over the last several years was used to board some horses. The property itself, unfortunately, fell into a great state of disrepair, both the structures on the property as well as the land itself. In the upper, let's call that the upper left-hand corner, there is a barn from the 1800s, a bank barn with a forebay. Just to the southeast of that is what I'll call a cottage and some outcropping houses from the 1700s. Those two structures are the primary structures on this, but those two structures obviously are in a state of disrepair. Our hope is to bring those structures back. That does cause some limitations on the property from what else we can do, meaning it takes away certain areas of the property, but we believe those are
core elements of the property, and we want to restore them to the way they are. There's good bones, but it takes an awful lot to get to those bones, given the way those properties unfortunately have been maintained over the past several decades. Let's keep going down Springtown Hill Road there is marsh and wetlands in the very top corner. Beautiful portion of that area that can also be restored and maintained. Further down to the bottom here, if we're looking at the central, you can see the place that we were looking to develop a residence. Developing the residence would be the family home for my wife and my son. We're looking for an area that we can really restore, appreciate the history, and embrace the conservation and the natural development of it. There are challenges with the property, obviously, with the wetlands, the streams, and some other things here. But what we're doing is trying to position that in a place that minimizes it and allows us to restore the property the way it really was years ago. Realistically, most of this property was a meadow, not too long ago. But that meadow has been destroyed for various reasons.
So simply speaking, there is a provision in your ordinance that refers to disturbing floodplain soils. That's a bit of a misnomer because floodplain soils have nothing to do with the FEMA floodplain. In fact, the FEMA floodplain is so far away from this property, it'd be over here on, if we blew up a map, which in fact will be one of our exhibits. It's just a type of soil. There is an area that's been mapped, sort of goes through the middle of the property. That's identified as floodplain soils. No one's gone out and done any borings, but that map is in the ordinance, and it's an area that you're theoretically not supposed to disturb. Many neighbors in this area have in fact built in the same floodplain soil area. In fact, we're going to introduce letters from neighbors indicating that they have no problem with what's being proposed. Our engineer at the zoning hearing board will testify that there's almost no place to put this home other than where it's located. And in fact, even if you move it slightly in the way I'm moving, we impact 4 different natural resource areas here. When the applicant was here before, I was not representing him, there was a larger disturbance of the floodplain soil area. The plan had, and there was also a request for a variance from the environmentally sensitive woodlands. Since that time, we've redesigned the plan. And now the only variance request is from the floodplain soil area, and the applicant, along with their engineer, has reduced the area of disturbance. So last time we were here, I believe the board took no position. We'd love if you support it because it does demonstrate that we've listened to people and we've tried to make the best approach possible. So that's really all. I mean, we're here. We can answer any questions you have. That's where we are.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go down the line with questions, so go ahead, Priscilla.
Was this the former Donna Bristol property?
It is.
Okay. She's passed, right?
No, I don't believe she has, but she was suffering some mental decline.
Okay. I don't mean to be personal or nosy, but Laura and I were officers on the Saucon Valley Conservancy, and we did barn tours. And her barn was on our barn tour.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful, beautiful barn. And I can give you, I don't want to do it now, but there's an organization that gives out grants for barn restoration, so I can put you in touch with that.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
It's not much money, but it's something.
Yeah, we want to start to look into, obviously, the other property. We didn't want to disturb anything else before the final plan was in place, but yes.
I'm sidetracking, but you know, the historic committee probably would be interested in at least visiting and seeing it, you know.
Oh, absolutely. The barn itself for the past several years, unfortunately, was used as a trash dumping ground. So the interior of the barn had over 7 industrial-sized trash containers removed from that barn. And it was not, and the roof was not maintained, and the access wasn't. So we're going through that process of trying to figure out what will need to be done. But the point of it is that that structure and that footprint will maintain as well as what I'll call the college.
I remember her telling us that she would go and she would get bricks and she would put them on the floor of the barn.
Yes, that part is still there.
And I was so impressed, but she did that.
She had quite a lot of talents. She turned into a mason as well.
Right. So.
Thank you. Priscilla, do you have any other comments or
No,
questions?
I'm supportive of, it is what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Hunter?
No, this plan's a little more straightforward. I don't think I have any. Actually, I lied. I do have one. Do you know who actually provided the original map that labels that soil as floodplain soil?
That's a good question.
We'll let Mr. Pasterski try. Okay.
Do my best. So the mapping that underlays the plan was from I'm gonna get the year wrong, it was the old soil survey for Northampton County. I believe it was in the 60s or 70s. And that map is what the ordinance was based on. And that soil was identified as a floodplain soil or hydric soil at that time. And that's the basis of how the ordinance is written, which is why we've shown it that way in the plan.
Okay.
Does that, as far as you know, does that mean someone went out and did soil borings, or did they do it a different way back?
No, I think, I'm not an expert on this, but I believe it was flown topography and they just did generalizations. So yeah, borings have not been completed.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you. I think that's all for me.
Thank you, Hunter. Laura?
Yeah, I don't think I had specific questions on this. I mean, I saw the difference in the plans with the removal of the woodlands disturbance. So you definitely made effort to improve, so thank you. And thank you for preserving the barn.
Is the barn preservation in writing?
No.
Is your efforts for that the same, similar to what we have if we offer a letter of support contingent upon preservation of the structures?
We could do that.
I can't hear what Chad said.
The question was, would there be a condition on the preservation of the barn? The applicant has made representations with regard to the barn. How preservation of a structure can mean many things to many people. So I'd be hesitant to go ahead and impose on a private landowner exactly what was going to happen with regard to it. But I believe, and perhaps don't want to talk about what Mr. Boob was talking about. I think, however, Mr. Booba, your client is making a representation that he'll make some efforts to preserve the barn, correct?
Certainly, yeah. I'll let him say it in his
Ask him
words.
to tell us what he means by that rather than trying to force something.
Yeah, so when a lot of people were actually looking at this property, one of the first things that attracted to us was the fact that the barn was there. And then we learned more and more, and the history and the stories keep coming out, and it's more attractive, which we could spend hours on. But our intent is to repair that barn, have that barn be able to be used socially, not for the public, but the public can certainly tour, but for us to use it socially and to enjoy it. The first couple things we need to do is to restore the roof. The roof is wavering. The footprint, we have no intention of reducing the footprint. There's a 4-bay on that, which is basically a wooden structure that's attached to the barn. We have to decide how that can be re-maintained, but that barn will not be disappearing anytime soon, and it's our intention as funds become available, because I'm sure you've seen what barn restoration can be.
No, not at all. We have no idea.
So I can't sit here and sign a blank check for that will be restored day one, but that is our goal with full faith and effort and our word is to restore that barn.
Gonna get horses?
No, unfortunately.
No?
Or
You don't ride?
Said what? What was the quote? What did he say?
Get horses.
Oh.
But we do plan to enjoy that for lots of different reasons.
I understand. Well, again, my question was with what just happened on the prior agenda item, if there's a way that we can have a contingency in there that, our support is contingent upon the preservation of the historical marker or of this historical structure.
The same thing, but it's a barn this time.
Yeah. So that would be my request.
So if one was inclined, when everyone is done with their comments, if one was inclined to make a motion to support, write a letter to the zoning hearing board solicitor in support of the application, conditioned on the applicant's representations with regard to the barn made tonight, I think that would be sufficient.
Hey, do you have the book from the barn tour that
We do.
tells, okay.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is amazing how quickly nature starts taking things back.
For sure.
It's amazing.
So if council heard what the solicitor just said, would somebody be interested in making that motion as
I would
stated
make
by the
that
solicitor?
motion as stated by the solicitor.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
So to be clear, that is a motion to authorize the solicitor to write a letter to the zoning hearing board solicitor in support of the application, conditioned on the applicant's representations made with regard to the barn, correct?
That's correct.
I'll get that to you later, Stacy, you don't have to write it down.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Heinecker?
Yes.
Ms. Alcantara?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Graff?
No. Just like to say the reason for my no vote is I don't feel that our letter of support should be based on a conditional.
On a what?
On a conditional. On the condition of the barn being repaired, I feel we should support or not support, or especially for a individual like this.
Okay. Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you very much, and good luck at the zoning hearing
Thank you.
board.
Thanks for your
Again,
time, I appreciate it.
For
Thank
the people in the audience, we are not approving or rejecting this project. The zoning hearing board makes a decision, and that meeting is on Monday.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good luck.
Next on the agenda is
Can you
authorization.
have the lights back on, please?
Yes, we'll wait for that.
Had you-
Thank you, my eyes adjusted.
I
I
can't
know, I
see.
like it there. Oh, boy. No, that's too much.
Does everybody feel okay to proceed? Are you still seeing stars?
I think I'm good.
All right, so the next is authorization to advertise the proposed solid waste and recycling ordinance. The solicitor will discuss this ordinance. If you can just give us a background of where this came from and what's going on here and why this is before us.
It is for a municipality of our size. There's a state law requirement to have a program with regard to recycling. There are various options that exist under the circumstances where Lower Saucon is. Our office has prepared the motion for your consideration, which would require the trash haulers to then provide for a recycling program as well as the collection of residential regular waste. So it is incumbent upon the private trash haulers to then comply with the ordinance to make sure that recycling is done in accordance with the ordinance.
Okay, thank you very much, and I do want to say thank you to Mr. Heinecker for bringing this forward and helping us recognize. I think it's an important thing for us to undertake, so I am fully in support of this ordinance. I will ask for a motion to advertise the proposed solid waste and recycling ordinance.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
All right, any discussion from council members on this? Maybe Chad, you want to go first since.
Yeah, again, based on the township, the size of our population, this is a Commonwealth requirement that we need to make sure we're in compliance with. I know that on the EAC for the past couple years and talking to residents, there has been complaints of their private haulers showing up, individual residents who are concerned about the environment, who separate their recyclables, their plastics, their glass, their metal, their cardboard, and watch all of those separate containers get dumped into the back of one vehicle and go to the landfill. You know, we had this single-use plastic survey go out in the past few months, and what was one of the biggest issues on there was the dump in the township, and we're trying to reduce the amount of materials that are put into the ground in those facilities. So recycling is obviously a way to help mitigate some of the amount of materials that are being placed into our potential groundwater and polluting our environment. We're trying to do the best thing, reduce, reuse, and recycle. So I appreciate the administration in putting this ordinance together and look forward to feedback, from the community on this. I saw in here just some things, just to make a note of it. We talk about leaf waste is on here. And I know some people in the township do like to burn their yard waste. And that is something that is going to have to be addressed. Even when technically legal within areas of the Commonwealth, there's open burning from the Pennsylvania information that discourages it because the smoke that's produced releases fine particulate matter and hydrocarbons, which can severely aggravate respiratory issues like asthma. It also poses a major fire hazard, as embers can easily blow onto dry brush and spark a wildfire. And I can speak from experience a couple years ago that there was smoke rolling up the hill by my property because unfortunately an older gentleman experienced a health issue while he was out burning some yard waste that quickly spread around through his property. And living in an area of the township that is covered in trees, the last thing I want is a wildfire to outbreak because someone doesn't manage their leaf and yard waste correctly. So there are appropriate ways of composting this, which again leads to a future conversation that I'll bring up again later in my council notes on the environmental committee, but we are hosting a composting workshop in September or October? October. We are hosting a composting workshop here. So I look forward to helping to move some of our habits that we may have towards the future for safety and improving the quality of life of our residents. And I think that the recycling ordinance that we have here for collection, putting it, the onus onto the haulers that we have certified and approved to make sure that they're doing their job correctly and that the businesses within our community are separating and properly paying for the collection of these recyclable materials. Clear glass, color glass, aluminum, steel, metallic cans, plastics, newsprint, corrugated paper. And I know, so many people in this community loved the paper recycling that we had here at the township. It used to be over at the high school, and that company no longer wants to do that. But this is a service that our community is looking for. We're asking for this. Otherwise, what are our options? You got to drive all the way over to Allentown or Bethlehem recycling centers to manage our recycling versus the convenience of having it right at your doorstep. So that's what we're looking for, and I'm happy to see that this is on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm in full support of this. I think it's the appropriate thing to do, and it's mandated by law. So are there any other comments, questions from council?
Just a point of clarification. I know there was someone who was concerned about individuals being fined for not recycling. Steve, could you just, this isn't gonna fine any individuals. This would only be putting the providers of the services on the hook, right?
It has penalties that are in the agreement, but the penalties are directed towards the individuals who have to perform the services, and it's the services that are done by the haulers themselves.
That was my point. So it's directed towards the provider of the service, not the resident themselves.
There is a requirement for the residents to in fact go ahead and separate though, for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a roll call?
Can I just ask one question though?
Go ahead,
It's just
sorry,
an
Laura.
easy one.
Go ahead.
I know it's like before the fact, so we're just advertising it now and then we would, 30 days or whatever, we can adopt it. Would we be providing like notification to our haulers that we have this or anything like that? Like how does that work?
The majority of the haulers that collect in the municipality are registered with the township. There are some that aren't, which we would have to go after and get them registered and have them acknowledge the existence of the ordinance.
maybe if like the current existing ones, maybe we just make sure they get a copy electronically, or, you know, of the fact that we're advertising this ordinance, and that's, you know, gonna be before us, so that gives them time to adjust their stuff accordingly.
And the collection I read in here, I think it's a Commonwealth statute, is that it's at least a minimum of once a month
Oh,
for the
providers.
recycling pickup.
Okay, yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a weekly thing. If that's some way that you don't want to have to pay for this, it's on a weekly service that maybe you're a private hauler. And I appreciate having a private hauler. I don't want to have to put the burden of this on our Public Works Department to have to collect this. So let's not rock the boat. Let's put the onus on these private haulers to do the job the right way and help satisfy these requirements of the Commonwealth.
Laura, do you have any other?
No.
Good. Can I have a roll call, please? And this is to advertise, so there will be a future hearing.
Ms. Abtav Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Gress?
Yes.
Mr. Heimbecker?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Next, we have approval of Heller Homestead Plan concept. Council will discuss options for the Heller Homestead Plan concept. I know Ms. Leon was the one who requested this at our last council meeting, so I will open it up to Priscilla.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is make a motion for the township to pursue the Heller Homestead Park Open Space and Barn Preservation Master Plan dated May 8th, 2026 as a conceptual plan and without any reference to any dollar amount, but this is a two-pronged motion. That plus, I'd like to, if I could read my writing, the second part would be to, to support the barn wall stabilization and make it safety improvements in the open space so that we can use it as a public area. And then, you know, like, I don't know if I'm using the right words, but we need to, you know, support this as a plan and then proceed with the barn stabilization.
So you're making one motion? One motion?
I'm kind of combining them. Can I combine them, Steve?
You can combine them. What you've done, I believe, is made one motion with two parts.
Right.
So it would be, if it was seconded, then it would be then up for discussion, and it would be both of them together. So right now, we have a motion on the floor. The next question is there a second? If there is a second, then we move to discussion. If there is no second, it ends.
Or somebody could
Okay.
revise the motion.
I will second it. Can you repeat it though? Because I think part of it got lost with the.
I didn't hear you, Laura.
I just asked if Stacy or somebody
Like
could
to
repeat it,
understand
but
what
I
the
will
whole,
second it.
what are
I
both
can do
parts
it.
of the motion? So it's 1 and 2, as I understand it. So what's 1? Can you tell us what's 1 and 2? Can somebody repeat?
1 would be pretty much what's written here, and then I hereby make the motion to pursue the, I'm not going to read all the plan, as a conceptual plan without any reference to any dollar commitment at this time, but we need to and if this passes, then we need to direct the manager to do an RFP and go out, you know, and look for, do an RFP for contractors to submit their, you know, bids and work with Doug Reed as a historic structure consultant. And I can keep reading if you don't mind.
I just want to make sure because I think there were 2 parts to the motion. So the first is to approve the plan, master plan in totality dated May 8th, 2026 as a conceptual plan without any reference to any dollar commitment at this time. And there's something else, you had a second part to it. I just want to make sure I understand.
And then the second part would be to do something with the barn wall stabilization and have safety improvements needed to do the open space, like for public use, like to open up that area. So we have to, you know, do the barn restoration and
So
do
you're
the
asking
back wall.
like for like an RFP to support that
Right.
component. So approve the whole plan without any dollar amount and do an RFP for
Well, when I
the
say,
restoration and removal of the fence.
well, we can't remove the fence until we fix the barn, to make it safe. I mean, everybody wants to move the fence. Yeah, I'd love to remove the fence too, but it's not, you're gonna have to put a fence around it while they're doing the work. You know what I'm saying? The fence is gonna have to be
Yeah,
removed.
I'm just trying to understand what is the second part of your motion.
Well, the second part would be for us
the
to
and
do an
what?
RFP to
Okay.
get contractors to submit bids to, you know, do the work for the barn stabilization. And I don't know what else, start with that,
Okay.
you know?
No, I think before we get into
I mean, there's a
discussion,
whole big
that would make
plan,
sense.
but we're not doing the whole big plan. We're just doing a segment of it. That's why, you know.
You want to approve the whole plan plus do that segment that you just said.
Well, when we go for grants, we need a plan. So, you know, we could be sitting out here and all of a sudden, you know, we find something in some book or we get an email and it's like in that plan. And if it's not approved, we have to wait to get it approved.
I get it. So I just want, so that's the motion, and then Laura second the motion. So now I want to move to discussion on that proposal.
Yes.
So I will let you continue because you have, I know that you have a lot prepared, so
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
I appreciate that. So I did some research and I asked for a copy of the Parks and Rec survey that was done. And I guess, I just didn't catch this, but Heller Homestead ranked 4th overall in park visitation out of, what do we have, 8 parks? 7 or 8 parks? 8 parks. And residents repeatedly described it as beautiful, historic, a gem, and a wonderful place to learn about history. People consistently highlighted the Saucon Creek trails as peaceful, amazing, and valued. And this is right out of the thing, I didn't make this up. Valued for quiet walking, and they praised the heritage and educational events that bring the site to life. The survey makes it clear that the only real criticism of Heller is that it is underused, not because it lacks value, but because it needs upgrades, visibility, and better access. Those comments align directly with what the concept plan is designed to address. Residents also emphasize the Heller and the preserve are gems that need to be preserved, and they view the homestead as an important cultural and natural asset within the township. The plan concept strengthens what people already appreciate about the site: its history, its natural setting, its educational opportunities, and its role as a passive recreation area. Most importantly, approving this plan positions the township to unlock significant grant funding. Without an adopted plan, Lower Saucon is not competitive for state and federal preservation grants. Adopting this plan is the only way to secure funding needed to protect Heller Homestead before deterioration becomes more costly and irreversible. And just keep in mind that, you know, we're talking that, you know, some of this is going to be township funds, but the Conservancy is going to be raising money. And, you know, we're going to be holding fundraisers. And, you know, that's going to be part of the pot too. So also, like for instance, the parking lot in the plan, maybe the Public Works Department can do that. You know, we need more parking. So, you know, that's just an idea. So I have a couple letters to read, but I just want to also say that the plan reflects a full year of public engagement, site analysis, committee review, professional planning work. It documents strong community support for preserving and improving Heller Homestead as a historic, cultural, and passive recreation asset. The draft shows broad public appreciation for Homestead's historic character, natural setting, and educational value. Clear survey feedback calling for upgrades, visibility, and better access, all addressed directly in the plan. Consistent resident comments describing Heller and the I always forget the, what is that? The Sandra Yerger Preserve, but there's a word in there I'm missing.
Nature preserve.
Nature preserve, thank you, I couldn't think of that word. Okay, the nature preserve as gems that need to be preserved. Professional recommendations based on environmental review, circulation and analysis, and best practices in historic park planning. It's aligned with township goals for open space, heritage preservation, and passive recreation. A phased, grant-driven approach allowing improvements to be pursued responsibly as funding becomes available. So, most importantly, the draft provides formal planning framework required for grant eligibility. Without an adopted plan, the township is not competitive for state or federal preservation grants. So adoption is what positions Lower Saucon to bring in outside dollars instead of relying on taxpayers. So I'm not finished yet. So we got that, and then I did receive comments and from residents, and if it's okay, can I read their comments?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Comments from Mark Connor, Township Historian, to be read into the meeting minutes concerning the Homestead Open Space and Barn Master Plan for June 17th, 2026. Having participated in the development of the Heller Homestead Open Space and Barn Restoration Master Plan prepared by L.R. Alment, LLC, I recommend that council endorses the plan's Phase 1 objective to repair, renew, and stabilize walls of the Heller barn ruins to the indicated level in the master plan, and B, restore the footprint around and within the walls to be a safe, usable, public accessible space. The Heller Homestead is an important part of the township historic patrimony, and the site also serves to memorialize our story and the foundation of our nation. There is no other site within our township which exemplifies this story more than the Heller Homestead. In this 250th year of our nation's history, the time is now for council to clearly state that the current situation of tumbled down walls secured by a galvanized fence is not an acceptable condition for an artifact of extreme importance to our history. While this is broadly known, it is worth repeating that from here, these grounds, the first shipment of supplies from Saucon Valley were marshaled by Michael Heller for delivery to the Continental Army seeking refuge at Valley Forge in the winter of 1777 to 1778. Let us commit to enriching our community for this and the future generations by creating a suitable space which can be visited and properly interpreted. Regarding the Heller barn restoration work, specific actions to finalize work scopes, obtain estimates, solicit grants, raise funds, and secure contracts requires further development by Saucon Valley Conservancy and the township staff with appropriate reviews from council. The master plan's recommendations regarding the Heller Homestead Park property outside of the Saucon Valley Conservancy's purview is outside the scope of my comments. However, the master plan includes the creation of additional parking, which will be necessary once a usable public space is created within the barn footprint. The public events are scheduled which enhance the use of the park. One final comment on the master plan. I am not in favor of the gabled roof line shown on the north wall. This is not authentic to the original barn design. I only mention this as there may be this and similar design features which should be further reviewed when developing a scope of work for bid and construction purposes. So that was from Mark. We also have a letter from Roger Jersak. To the manager, I wish to state my support for approval of the Heller Homestead Park Open Space and Barn Preservation Master Plan on the agenda at the June 17th date. With a 3-minute presentation timeline, it would be difficult for me to provide details. I currently reside outside Lower Saucon, but reside in the Woodfields development of the township from 2006 through 2020. During my residency, I was appointed to the SRTOC by council and served in that capacity for 11 years. I have been director and officer of the Saucon Valley Conservancy since 2013, currently elected as president. I speak from years of volunteering on the township's Rail Trail Park and the Homestead Park. 28 years ago, 1998, for safety reasons, LST Council voted to demolish the recently storm-damaged Heller barn and then erected a fence around the standing walls and debris. Many SVC fundraising events have been held over those 28 years to accumulate resources to someday contribute to a restoration of the historic barn ruins. Now, via the proposed master plan, many can have a vision and roadmap by which improvements could go forward. Such improvements would be a combination of private and public investment. Maintaining a fenced area of historic 1790 barn walls and masonry debris does absolutely nothing to represent the use and history of this unique property. The study and development of this master plan provides numerous concepts and current cost parameters for those concepts by which specific improvements to the historic structures and park can be moved forward. The approval of this plan is needed to allow its concept to be used with understanding of finite plan or plans to follow. My hope is that there's this request for approval be accomplished. That was his letter. Then we got a letter from Donna Rice, who's also involved with the Saucon Valley Conservancy. I am unable to attend tonight's LST council meeting, but I am writing in support of the Heller Homestead Master Plan. I sincerely hope it will be approved and movement can be made to improve the historic site, which will benefit our community greatly. And also, Mary Ann Chegacy. I wish to state my support of the Heller Homestead Plan. Rich Dussold says, team, I also wish to state my support of the Heller Homestead Open Space and Barn Preservation Master Plan on tonight's agenda. I believe that was it. So, I believe that's all I have for the moment.
Thank you, Priscilla. Hunter, you want to say anything about this particular motion?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, Laura?
Hunter, you're supposed to say something.
I can if you want.
No, that's all right.
I don't think I have anything
I
constructive
didn't
to add.
prepare a speech or anything, but as was mentioned, there was a lot of people that worked on this plan for a long time, a lot of hours, a lot of good ideas. My whole understanding, as was explained in there, was if you have no plan or no approved plan, it makes it really difficult to apply for grants. So that's why I support approving the plan. And I've always looked at it as being a selection of options. Not that we're gonna do every single option in the plan in any particular order. It depends when funding becomes available and what makes sense at the time. Definitely doing the stabilization of the walls that are there, all the stones, so we can get rid of that horrible fencing and open up the area so it looks like a normal place people can go, is necessary. It should have been done years and years ago. So I'm glad that we can look at doing that at this point, but having the plan, each piece that would get done at any point in the future would come before council anyway, because council or the township owns the property, so it's not like we're, as is specifically in the motion, we're not committing to any specific dollar amount or any specific timeline or any specific project. So it's going to be piecemealed together as we move forward, as we can afford, as funding becomes available. So those are some of the reasons I'm supportive of it. We do need to make better use of that area.
Thank you, Laura. Chad?
I do not support the concept of this plan. I do not support adding a gabled roof to the barn. I do not support the concept of the pavilion as it's proposed. I do not support the concept of the elevated boardwalk trail as it's proposed. I do support a stabilization effort of the barn ruin structure as is, to be able to permit removing the fence, as well as any additional pedestrian or safety enhancements to keep children from climbing on it, signage, etc., to make sure that nothing happens, it doesn't tumble over and fall if somebody is standing next to it. I want to make sure that we preserve and protect the cultural heritage of that site. If I look at this plan in its entirety, there's one portion of it that I can say yes to today, and that is a barn stabilization approach, but I don't see that on here. The only option that I have is to approve a concept that has a gabled roof, which our own historian in the township does not support. I agree that this facility and this location in our township needs to be improved. My time at the homestead, I've been there a handful of times in the past year or so, being involved with the Conservancy and the Historical Society for Heritage Day planning, and I can see that the limitations of parking inhibits the use of that facility. I can see from the Parks and Rec survey, as I mentioned at the last council meeting, that our community is looking for a community center, which is different from a pavilion, yet I feel that our community is looking for places to gather, and I support that. Also, one of the biggest things on the list, the survey list, was additions of restrooms at all of our parks. The trail aspects, I'm concerned about from an environmental standpoint, whether we're using pressure-treated lumber that may leachate into the groundwater, or if it's another composite structure. I believe it's designed as a 3-foot wide boardwalk, which I do not feel is wide enough to accommodate pedestrian traffic. And there's a proposed staircase that I have issues with for ADA compliance and with people in our township who have mobility issues. So I could nitpick this concept to the point where I can say no to approving the plan tonight. However, I would like to move forward with approving any efforts to stabilize the barn site and be able to remove the fence so that we can open that space back up to the community to enjoy and appreciate. Furthermore, this plan is proposed from this other independent agency. While it may have gone through a year or so of review and a lot of feedback, has not been passed through our environmental committee, Parks and Rec, Planning, or Zoning for their feedback, nor has there been an opportunity for the residents of this community to provide their feedback unless more members wanted to stand up during our agenda item session and talk about it. If we can get to the slide, can we go to the slide where it breaks down the costs? You know where that is? There it is. So the thing that I'm looking for us, that I want to say yes to, is 3.1 under the barn, the top left corner here. But hopefully that's less, because I don't want to see the gabled roofing on it or an additional rebuilding any walls. Like the proposed here as like additional wall structure in the front, rebuilding entranceways and things like that. I don't think that that's appropriate or necessary. You don't go to Rome and see them rebuilding the Colosseum. You don't go to the Parthenon, they didn't rebuild it. They don't rebuild the Sphinx, you know, they didn't plaster a fake nose on the tip of it. So I feel like we need to keep the ruins intact as they are. And I want to show and convey my respect and appreciation to you. I know that how important this is to you. That barn is an important site in our community. I want to do something about it. The totality of this whole plan, I can't agree with some of the details on it.
I don't agree with all the details either.
And so I can't say yes to a concept where there's enough stuff in it that I say, I don't know, maybe we can do better. So can we break this? I know you have you have a and B here.
I think it was A and B right now.
It was A and B.
It
So
was
that's
the
the motion on the
concept plus,
table,
yeah.
right here. We have A and B. If we can just get to B, I'm 100% behind this, and I would help with whatever fundraising efforts to get our business community, residents on board. I know people love buying bricks. Can they buy a stone? Buy a stone, okay? Put your name on a stone at the homestead. You know, have a placard out front with local businesses that want to respect our cultural heritage and be involved in this.
So-
And then when we, if I may, so, and you know, there's been ideas projected out there. Mr. Connor himself sent me an image of a viewing wall, right? Where it's a glass where you look, it's placed at a spot where when you look through it, you see the barn ruins through the glass, and then etched into the glass is a visual representation of what the barn used to look like. That should have sponsorship all over it, right? From our business community. That should be something that's not even coming out of the pockets of our taxpayers. But you know, we gotta ask, where is this money gonna come from? I mean, that's, $400,000 is a lot of money.
That's why we took the prices, the motion doesn't talk about prices, because as we come across things in the plan, we're gonna look at it, and it might not match all this stuff. You know, you'll do an RFP and see what it comes in, and it could be different from that.
Yeah.
We're not doing this whole plan, we're not spending all this money. Right now, we're
Well, I'm
doing,
afraid that if we say yes to this, that's exactly what we're gonna be backed into.
how do we rephrase the first motion
You
then?
can approve a concept of a plan, you go out and you look for grants, and you come back, and then it's gonna be our backs against the wall, and we gotta pull the trigger on spending all this money, and I don't know where that's gonna come from. When we're trying to close the landfill, that's not realistic. We have to tighten our belts and budget in this township right now and look to the future, because we're gonna be losing, 25% of our revenue. And unless we wanna pull this from open space, which I have to ask, portions of our open space funding is set aside. It says in there, it literally says historic preservation, and it says recreational improvements. So I can see that some of that might apply to this, but I don't know if from the solicitor's opinion or the open space or a solicitor, whether this falls within the context of that or not. So I have to have that for clarity. And the other thing that I'm not completely sure I understand is what needs to get approved by the township. I've asked half a dozen to a dozen people at this point, do we need to approve a plan to get grants? And I don't know that I've gotten a clear-cut 100% answer on that.
The people that I talked to say yes.
If we can say, yeah, we want to do something, go look and find the grants for it, but I don't want to sit here and say yes to the way that it's designed in this document. So that's my feedback on this. I hope we can find a compromise and a solution on the barn tonight. Let's not delay on that anymore. And the rest of it, let's keep talking about it.
So I think the question was asked.
Wait, I didn't get to go yet.
Okay.
You wanna go ahead?
I just want to address, the question was asked, what can we do Priscilla asked, what can we do about this? So if she made the motion, she withdrew her motion, and then there was a second motion that, for clarity's sake, would be along the lines of perhaps a motion to take the necessary steps to inquire about a future plan to remove the fence and stabilize the site. One could make that motion, but it would have to be, right now you've got a motion on the floor. So that's where we are. So I apologize. If you want to make your comments.
Oh, okay. I follow. Priscilla, do you want to stick with your motion that, as you stated before, or do you want to entertain what the solicitor has proposed?
I'm willing to change my motion, but for the second part, I think we all agree that we need to do something. What that wording is, I don't know. We have to, Jay's gonna have to send out an RFP and, entertain bids or bid documents or whatever. Right? Am I?
No, I don't think you could do it that way, because your motion, your second part of the motion is not clear enough to give direction.
Okay, well, I'm willing to make it clear. You need to help me out here.
She's asking, can you
Here's what I would
offer
recommend.
another one that doesn't
Withdraw
just
the
say,
motion.
like, inquire, but something more more strong that asks the staff to move forward with these items of restoring the ruins as they sit and removing the fence after that fact.
So what I think you're asking is, you'd be asking the staff to look into it,
So,
and then to come back with what costs might be or who might remove the fence and stabilize the site. If that's what you're asking, that's a motion that the staff can then respond to.
Did you hear that?
no, I'm sorry, say that again.
Okay, so if Priscilla withdrew a motion, and a new motion was made to authorize staff to take the necessary steps to inquire about a future plan to remove the fence and stabilize the site and take no further action, we can do that. Then staff knows what they're doing. Then staff would come back and say, okay, Public Works can do X, Y, and Z. This has to be bid if we're going to stabilize the site and remove the fence. Then that at least provides direction.
So you're saying right now, we need to determine what has to be bid out and what
Not
staff.
even bid out, just even determined as to how to proceed, what needs to be bid, what can be done internally, what the steps are.
That's why I'm saying that it's difficult to approve a concept when we actually have to have explicit instruction on the extent of what the work is.
So,
And so
Priscilla, are you in agreement with that
I'm
amendment?
listening, and yes, but I think Doug Reed, our historic expert, needs to be involved too, because he was involved in the beginning of all of this, because, you know, he knows, like, the battered walls, when they talk about the battered walls in the back, and how that's supposed to be done, and there's a process to do that.
Oh, for sure.
And he knows that process. Nobody else here in this room or in the staff knows how to do that.
Yeah, and I'm not claiming to be an expert
What's
at
that?
all in
Jay,
this
can
restoration.
you provide some input onto
Sure.
how you can collaborate with?
Sure, I think based on the way
expert.
Steve articulated the motion, it would give staff the ability to contact the necessary resources to develop a plan that might include bidding to stabilize the ruins. I don't think you need to include in the motion that you have to contact ABC Stone, Mr. Reed. I mean, I think
You will do that.
myself, the
You
Public
will-
Works Director, and the engineer would be able to go out and find the necessary people to give us advice on how to stabilize it, if that's what the decision of council would be. So,
But will you consult with him? I mean, I understand you
I
have
think-
different departments, but I don't want you to exclude his input.
it might be Mr. Reed and 4 other people. I mean, I think we have to explore all alternatives to stabilize it, to make sure it's done properly, if that's what council so desires.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna withdraw both my motions, and now we have a new motion stated by Jay. I mean, that means
But by a
that,
solicitor, he's saying,
both of them.
Okay, so I think Priscilla would need to withdraw her motion, and who made the second?
I'll withdraw the second.
Laura
Okay.
withdrew her second. So then now we just can.
Start over.
Start off with a motion.
Go
that-
ahead.
Someone could make a motion to authorize staff.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll do it.
You have a motion?
I
Okay.
will make a motion to authorize staff to take any necessary steps to pursue stabilization of the barn ruins in order to remove the fence and open the area up for public access safely at the Heller Homestead.
Yeah. Is that your motion? I'll second it then.
Does that satisfy Steve?
Does.
Okay.
And for discussion, I don't like there's many things that I don't like, but you have to understand, you put 7, 10 people together.
I know.
And not everybody's gonna like everything the same.
I know, and I'm just
No,
one voice out of
Laura,
many.
you have a list. Did you start a list of what was not right? Like the gable, the roof, I don't know, I can't think now. Just too many things in my
Wait,
head.
so I just want to, before we get into discussion, you
Yeah.
amended your motion as stated.
I made it.
Or you made the
She
motion,
seconded
and
it.
she seconded.
Hold on, hold
Priscilla
on.
seconded.
Everybody stop for a minute. Just to be clear as to where we are. Priscilla made a motion, Laura seconded it. Priscilla withdrew her motion, Laura withdrew the second. So there was no motion at that point. Now Chad has made a motion.
Correct.
I don't recall if somebody has seconded it yet.
Priscilla did.
Priscilla
Priscilla
seconded.
seconded.
the motion.
So that's what we have right
Okay,
now.
so,
Yes.
so
So
now
back to
we're in
discussion.
discussion. Can I just say something because I haven't had a chance to say anything? I'm just happy, and I feel for Laura. I will say, I supported getting a master plan for this park because of the issue with the fence and the state of disrepair that it looks. I felt that it was not a place that was best, that represented our township or our stated desire to preserve our history. I think the site, throughout at least my time on council, I mean, being able to go to the site and see the significance of where we were in the township, and what we did for the Revolutionary War on forward, I think those are very, very important things to not only preserve, but to highlight and to make a very unique place that people would continue to come to go to, but also make the township a more desirable place to come because we have all these unique features. I will echo some of what Chad had relayed as some of his concerns with the overall, the plan ended up providing us with a lot of options, but which didn't really provide us at this moment with a clear set of very specific things and how we could move forward with them on a piecemeal basis. And so for that reason, I am very much in support of the current motion that's on the table. I'm very much in support of getting this project moving forward so that we can make this park the best that it can be, and to honor our residents, but also be respectful of the constraints that we have as a municipality when we have taxpayers. And right now we don't have any grant funding that we've already identified a grant, or the Conservancy hasn't come forward with any pocket of raised money yet. So I think this is a good starting point. Let us get some information back and then let's move forward with it as best we can. So I'm in support of this particular motion.
Can I add something?
Yes.
That when this whole thing started, we were concentrating, of course, on the barn where we just talked about. That was the priority. And then we thought, well, heck, this is a 14-acre park. And it was given to us as open space and rec. It's a covenant. It's covered under open space. So we got a letter from what's his name? Our open space solicitor. Yeah, with Larry. What's his name? I'm sorry, I can never remember his name. I know we're all blank.
I don't know.
But anyway, so he said yes, that it is, both the 2.2 acre lot where the homestead is and the other 12-acre lot are all combined. Okay, and we thought, well, geez, there's a beautiful 12-acre space on the other side with the quarry wall. And unfortunately, the entrance on Walnut Street is not very big, so you can't really make a road going in there, because that would have been perfect. And that's why we have all those things going over that culvert, trying to get people on the other side. So that might not have been the best way to do it, but that was what they came up with. So that's why that's in the plan. Just because it's in the plan, we might be looking someplace else. We might see a grant for something different, and we bring it to council. You know what I'm saying? That's a living, it's a, what do they call that? The concept plan is not in stone. It can be changed. Do you know what I'm saying? Just because we approved it, or we didn't approve it, but it needs to be approved for grants. I'm sorry. I was on the grant committee for Jay and I, we were on the grant committee for the Northampton County Gaming Commission. We didn't approve a grant unless the owner approved the plan. It's just something to do. So there's two parts to this. So let's do the part that the motion's on the floor, and then we need to talk about that other one.
Yeah, and again, the trail there, I like the idea of connecting with Skibo Road, and I think that residents in those surrounding communities would appreciate that access there. And as I said last meeting, I think doing a little more there where we can make it connect to the rail trail.
Right.
And if people can take their bikes
Right.
on that
Right.
and a ramp for accessibility issues, and then you widen it, 3 feet isn't very wide. I mean, if two people trying to go past each other on a 3-foot wide boardwalk that's elevated, somebody falls off on that, is there a hand railing? I don't know if a hand railing was proposed or not on that, but that's a safety issue for me as well. To have somebody fall off in the marshland there, and then how do you get emergency management back in there, you know, to take care of somebody like that? So I think there's a little bit more work that's gotta be done on some of that, but I like the concept, I don't like the detail.
Right.
So, and the parking, I would pull the trigger on parking tonight too.
You would do what?
The parking situation, we maybe wanna look at that as well. Or maybe the parking and the pavilion and a restroom all goes together as one other package.
Right. Well,
And
the
as
Public Works could do the parking lot. Can't they do the parking lot?
What?
Public Works?
Public Works, maybe, but some of those trees are pretty big that I think might have to get removed in that section, so that might still have to go out.
Well, anyway,
But-
that's why the park plan thing, and then we have the watershed people that did a grant and
Oh,
just
yeah,
recently,
and they just did a great
to me,
job with their signs.
there's like an area there, so that's the concept, that's the
Yeah.
plan, you know.
So I don't want to lose track of where we are. So now, this was just comment on the new motion that Chad made that was seconded by Laura. Hunter, do you have anything to say about
Seconded by
this
Priscilla.
motion?
Priscilla seconded, but yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if this is more of a Chad or a Steve question, but it may be an interpretation of the motion. But the point of this motion is not to spend any money at this time, it's to determine.
Correct.
What the cost would be.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my intent, is to determine the
Stabilization.
cost.
Yeah, the cost of stabilization and removal of the fence.
For stabilization, removal of the fence. And in my mind, that includes whatever safety improvements need to happen around it to keep kids from climbing on it, signage, you know, stay off rocks, all of that aspects, not just making sure the wall, you know, and I don't know how they do that. I don't know what they're gonna do.
I'm
Are
not
they
an
gonna
expert
cap
in
it somehow?
rock structure stabilization.
You know, do they put like, you know, rebar through the middle with some bracer plates or something to keep it tight so it doesn't degrade any further?
That's the part where you let the experts do it.
So
They come back to you and give you a number.
that's what this motion intent is for me, is to figure out how to keep the barn structure from getting any worse than the way that it is, and to be able to open it up safely. That's it.
Just wanted to make sure I was or was not spending money, and I knew what I was voting on.
Not adding anything onto it, not rebuilding any of the walls at the front or anything, just the structure as it
Stabilization of
is.
what's there so it's safe enough to remove the fence.
Yes, that's the intent of what I'm bringing up right now.
That's what I thought. Just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
I would like to just have a roll call on this motion so we can get past this part, because I feel like this is, like, we've all now talked about it. So can I have a roll call on this motion?
Can you read the motion, please?
Motion's been made.
Can
Everybody
I-
understand on council?
I think we all understand.
Miss Ray,
Yes.
Miss De Leon,
Yes,
Mr. Gress,
Yes.
Mr. Heimbecker,
Yes.
Miss Optoff Cordero.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
okay. So I guess that puts us with the committee that's doing this barn thing, is that we're just gonna look for grants, and I guess we're just gonna have to write them and then come back to council. I mean, Jane's sitting here, she's a grant writer. And she's the one that told us, one of many that told me that we need to have the plan approved. So if there's a way that we can word the approval of the plan without really, like, I don't know how to word it. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss.
Well, is it not more?
I think I think we just gave direction to the staff to come back at us with the cost of this first thing. And I think that we should just pursue that and let them come back at us with the cost and the options of what we can do with that. I don't know what was stated by Mr. Heimbecker is not even what's part of this plan, so I don't really think that, just my perspective, I don't think there's a need for another motion.
Okay, well, at least we're proceeding with fixing the barn ruins, so that's a big plus. And It's going a long way, and I appreciate everybody's support, because we're gonna have a big celebration.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna have a big celebration with those stones.
Yes.
Oh, and so, yeah, I mean, I know that we've already talked about this, but the stones that are there, and maybe I should, if I can just say this, is whatever we need to do, that if whatever rubble needs to be removed, we want to maintain possession of those materials, as one of the members of the community, mentioned before, to reuse on the property perhaps, maybe in.
Have a bathroom.
The bathroom, or the
a stone
pavilion,
building.
or part of the walkway, things like that we can reuse some of that and keep that on the site. So I would hope that that's part of what this, maybe we can move forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can put to bed this particular thing. I'm gonna move on to the next item, which is authorization of staff to prepare bid documents to remove, repair, and paint the windows at the Heller Homestead. I will, before I entertain a motion, I will state, there was some question in the community about the fact that we did something just 6 years ago. I wanna reiterate that this is different than what was done 6 years ago. 6 years ago, that was the widow's house windows. This is the main house windows. And I know that there's been work between the Conservancy and our staff about looking at the windows and trying to figure out what was necessary. And I know staff has now determined that this is what we have to do to proceed. There is a lease between the Conservancy and the township, and the township is responsible to maintain that historic house. So I will entertain a motion to authorize staff to prepare bid documents to remove, repair, and paint the windows at the Heller Homestead. The estimate exceeds the bidding requirements of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, $24,500. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I wrote to a girl, Karen Arnold. She works at PHMC. When the Widow's House got a grant a long time ago, they had a covenant running with the land. So for 15 years, whenever they did anything, they had to get it approved by Karen. So I sent her the estimate from this person, and she wrote back, and she says that it needs to meet the Secretary of Interior standards, and that's with historic. So I need that to be added to the motion.
They put that in the bid documents, is that what you said?
Yeah, because that's what they did for the widow's house when we made the motion for
Can you say that again? I didn't hear.
Okay. When you have a historic property.
Yeah.
And you want to do repairs to it, it has to meet standards. The Secretary of Interior has standards, and it's a federal thing. So out of respect for historic properties, you have to do that. So that has to be included in the bid documents.
Can I make a proposed amended motion here for you?
Yes, please.
I will entertain a motion to authorize staff to prepare bid documents
We
in accordance
already
with the.
have a motion though, so we'll have to.
I'm suggesting an
Well,
amendment.
it wasn't her motion.
I made the motion.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying,
You could,
I
you
made
could
the
just add
motion,
bid.
so I will
after
amend
bid
my
documents.
emotion, my motion, that the bid documents for the removal, repair, and painting of the windows at the Heller Homestead are done in accordance with the Secretary of the Interior standards
Secretary.
or any applicable preservation guidelines
Thank you.
per the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay, so that's the amended motion. Who seconded it?
I will amend my second to fit Chad's motion.
Okay, can I have a roll call on this?
Ms. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Gress?
Yes.
Mr. Heimbecker?
Yes.
Top Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
And just to say that, I should have read this before. This is part of her email. She says, I can't say that I'm familiar with the work of how do you say that, artisanal structures?
Artisanal structures.
I recognize many of his more recent projects, his I can't say that word.
Methodology?
Yep, that's it, would meet the standards, so she's talking about this standard. I see that he is specifying a wood consolidate abachon, which is used frequently for minor repairs, and appreciate that he is talking wood replacement, which might be required if he encounters larger sections of rock where new material is more appropriate for the structural integrity of the sash and/or frames. It seems like a worthy proposal, so we'll see what happens. Not that he's getting the job, but.
Oh, it just sounds like she's saying that his proposal is already meeting the standards, so
Correct.
that's good to hear.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna, if I may, move on to Resolution 57, 2026, placing township items on municipal. It's been prepared for the sale of municipal assets. I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 57, 2026, to place municipal items for sale on municipal. Do I have a motion?
I will make the motion as stated by the president.
A second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Gress?
Yes.
Mr. Heimbecker?
Yes.
Ms. Optoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
So I don't want to upset the cart here, but I'm going to ask the question. One of the items is a bunch of our old picnic tables. I don't know how well they'll go on municipal or not. Could we also offer them to public?
If they don't sell, if I give municipal, we sell them.
Yeah,
No, you
municipal, it's
do,
open
but
to
I mean-
public, any member of the
Oh, really?
community
You
can
don't
bid
have to
on
be
it.
a municipal
No.
government
No.
to
I've
buy from
actually
there?
almost placed bids on quite a few
Anyone
things.
can.
Okay, well then, I mean, we should let our residents know that we have a bunch of picnic tables out on the, available, because it would be easy enough for them to come collect them from us, I suppose.
We should all have a picnic together.
Okay,
I think we're in the
so-
middle of roll call. I
Yes.
think it was your roll, it was your name, state, so,
Yes.
okay.
Ms. De Leon?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, and maybe we can put an advertisement on the website about people buying the picnic tables. Authorization to prepare bid documents for Public Works Building expansion bid. The township has received 2 grants. Very excited towards the funding of the expansion. A local share grant from Northampton County in the amount of $123,761, and local share grant from the contiguous Monroe County in the amount of $261,828 that we received from Senator Lisa Boscola. That would help us with the cost of this project. I'm very happy that this is moving forward in the next step. Can I have a motion to authorize staff to prepare the bid documents for the Public Works Garage expansion?
So
I will-
moved.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, can I have a roll call? Priscilla and Laura?
Mr. Heimbecker?
Yes.
Ms. Optoff Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. De Leon? Mr. Gress?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next, we have Resolution 58, 2026, is the approval of traffic signal maintenance agreement with TSMA with PennDOT. Hanover Engineering reviewed and prepared the resolution and accompanying documents. Unless he's gone, I will entertain a motion. He's here. Oh, well, he's not here. I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 58, 2026, traffic signal maintenance agreement with PennDOT. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a roll call?
Can I ask?
Yes.
Can I ask for a plain language interpretation of what the intent of this agreement is?
Sure, any traffic signals on, Brian can probably articulate this
Brian.
better.
Came back just in time.
Want to explain the traffic signal maintenance agreement with PennDOT?
Sure. PennDOT requires it because the placement of all maintenance of any traffic signals, PennDOT puts on the municipalities, every municipality. So anywhere we have a traffic signal, PennDOT expects you to maintain it. And this is their standard agreement that says that you will maintain it. You have a contract with a contractor to maintain it, which you do. And they ask that you sign the agreement. And in PennDOT's fashion, they make you pass a resolution saying that you're allowed to sign the agreement.
Okay. Does this have any impact on our ability to request or pursue additional traffic signals?
No.
At intersections?
No, the standard maintenance agreement would apply then to any signal that PennDOT. You have to get a permit from
PennDOT still makes the decision at the end of the day.
Correct.
So
You cannot put a traffic signal up without PennDOT saying you're allowed to put a traffic signal up.
But this is just maintaining the current ones that we have.
the current ones.
It's not like about anything new. It's just we have to maintain our, the signals that are within our
Okay.
municipal boundaries.
I think what happened during the review work with St. Luke's on 412, PennDOT realized that Lower Saucon's agreement was out of date.
Say that again?
During the St. Luke's review of their HOP, PennDOT realized that your traffic signal agreement is out of date and said you need to bring it up to date.
Understood. Well, I know how many people in this community would love a light at Polk Valley. So, you know, we talked about it at the round table at Lost Tavern, and I know it's on the border with Hellertown, and there's other constraints with geometry there, but maybe we can say we'll sign this if you give us a light.
We tried
We'll take care of your lights if you give us one there.
But we tried to get a light there. It was a combination of adjacent property owners that we needed, that were not in favor of the light, a business owner, and the borough.
Yeah, well, one business owner versus
Well,
about
I'm just saying,
5,000
we have it.
individual residents.
We had it designed, we had it.
Everything was in
Everything.
place.
How long ago was that, Ryan?
10 years ago.
10 years now, maybe?
We have new council in Hellertown, new residents in the borough and the township, new increased traffic in the last 10 years, so let's pursue it again.
The same
I think we should
business
talk about
owners.
that again.
But we need a roll call on this particular thing.
Correct.
And we were in the middle of it when you asked your question, I think.
I am sorry.
Ms. Aptow Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Gress?
Yes.
Mr. Heimbecker?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
So for the future, we can direct staff to pursue updating that investigation on Polk Valley. I don't know if we need to put that on our agenda, or we can just.
Do we have a list of intersections where lighting or stop signs are deemed appropriate or necessary?
I think your comprehensive plan may have generalized that. I'd have to go back and look at that, though. It's been a long time.
Like a map that tells us where each one is.
Yeah.
Valley was definitely at the top of the list.
Yeah, and the Apples Church Road gets backed up pretty bad too.
Do we need like a thing to put on the agenda next time?
You would.
That's a scary one to make, because
Yeah.
you can't see the people coming northbound on 412. So maybe we need a little bit of a traffic study or something done at some point that would help.
It's dangerous there.
Danish, top 10 intersections that we should look at in the township to maybe do some improvements on. And I understand most of them are gonna be PennDOT roads, so.
Jay, can we put that on the next agenda with the Polk Valley Road traffic light? And I don't know about the discussion of traffic study.
I would
with
suggest
dangerous
that you,
intersections.
if you're gonna do a global traffic study for the townships, 10, whatever number of intersections you come up with, because of the cost of that, I would suggest that you budget that in 2027, because each one of these intersections, off the top of my head, is gonna be $5,000 to $7,000. Multiply that by, you're into the $70,000 to $100,000 range.
I understand. Yeah, it's a big nut to crack. I get you. But
Do you wanna put on the thing, maybe just Polk Valley, since they already did?
Polk Valley's the number one thing that everybody and their mother and their cousin's former roommate has ever talked about in this township needs a light.
Then on the next agenda, we could put the authorization.
And if there's a way that we can invite Hellertown here for that conversation as well, I don't know.
That would be more appropriate for
Serves me.
staff to handle.
If memory serves me, PennDOT already approved a plan for that intersection. It was approved by PennDOT.
Well, we had,
It never got completed, it never it went nowhere.
we had a plan that we believed that PennDOT would approve, you know, had gone through several iterations of review. But I think what they said was, we need Lower Saucon's council to approve it and Hellertown's council to approve it because it's right there at the line. And I think that's where things got.
That was one of the agenda items for the partnership when we were meeting with our Council of Governments. That was one of our projects.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Can we put it on the next agenda?
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Next, we have approval of the May 20th, 2026 minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the May 20th, 2026 minutes.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Can I have a roll call?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Gress?
Yes.
Mr. Heimbecker?
Yes.
Ms. Aptow Cordero?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next, we have approval of the May 2026 financial reports. I will entertain a motion to approve May 2026 financial reports.
Make the motion.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Ms. De Leon? Mr. Gress?
Yes.
Mr. Heimbecker?
Yes.
Aptow Cordero?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Now we have another opportunity for public comment, agenda and non-agenda items. 3-minute time limit. If you have anything to come forward with, please come to the podium now.
You need to go up there? Okay, you can go after her.
Okay, Diane Hollowell, taxpayer. First off, thank you from all my neighbors in Saucon Terrace. With the closure of Black River Road because of the bridge replacement, the township has provided police presence and those flashing road signs warning drivers that they are cutting through a neighborhood to watch for children, slow down, and to stop at stop signs. So we really, really appreciate it. We really thought it was going to be worse than what it was. Thank you also to the Democratic Council for building back our relationship with the Hellertown Area Library. I took my granddaughter to a summer reading event last week. There were over 80 people there. So anybody who is watching online, please check out the library's website. They post a monthly calendar of events, and there are events for all age types. It is taxpayer money well spent, not like the $300 billion taxpayer money that the Republican president is giving to Iran or the $19 million green reflecting pond. Okay, stop. And just to end with, one request. I truly appreciate the township's social media presence. Like, I love getting like text messages when the hydrants are gonna be, flushed. And you really inform us, like, and your website, you guys do an amazing job for that. But would it ever be possible, maybe once in a while, to do a mailed out paper copy, where you would list on there all your names, like where the parks are, like relevant information that they could actually post on the refrigerator or something. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Um,
Any other people for?
Gloria, this man here needs to speak.
There's multiple people coming forward.
Oh, hello. My name is Virginia Stangline. I live at 3659 Old Philadelphia Pike, just down the street, 2 down from the Hackman property. Just a couple comments on number 6, on the 3 items there. On C, I totally support what you decided to say and pass for regarding the recycling, and thanks for the work on that. On D, I just think what was presented was like too vague and not specific enough, and what I was wondering is why you didn't consider maybe tabling it and having a committee of some kind to kind of bring the issues together and to present it at the next meeting and with more clarity. But the way you handled it sounds okay. So what I'd like to say.
You can sit down, sir, while she's talking. Don't worry. I will make sure you have your time to speak. Sorry, Ms. Stenglein, I didn't want to interrupt you. It just, he seemed struggling standing up. I didn't want him to.
Okay, I won't be much longer.
Sorry,
I want
no,
to say
keep
something
going.
about the Hackman property. You know, you may know that I rallied a whole lot of neighbors in the past to come here, and I didn't do this time, and you say you didn't get too many people coming. I think most of the residents would have preferred to see 7 to 14 single homes in that property that wouldn't have had such an impact on what I think is going to be a big problem, and that is going to be the traffic. You don't live on this road, but I will say that I'm there 44 years now. Used to be a country road, not much traffic. It's changed a lot now, and every time there's a problem on 378, which accidents and all kinds of things, we got all kinds of people coming down the road. So, all right, we can handle that. It's the problems at both ends of the road that I see is going to be a problem. I don't know if the people who are presenting this are required to give a traffic study. Is that something that comes down the road with the development of this property? But you have such a backlog up at the top at Sidersville Road and not a long light to get across, especially on Fridays, rush hour coming down 378. A lot of people are coming on Philly Pike instead of staying on 378. So I think certainly something is going to have to be considered. You have 44 units, possibility of 44 to 88 or maybe even 132 cars going to be coming in and out of that residence area. You're going to have deliveries coming to people. So I think you'll have to address this somehow. I don't know if they're required to address it. If we have to have other turn lanes, you're going to have other lights, length of time, I don't know. But I just think it's going to be a problem on this road for that kind of traffic. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Sir, you can come on forward and take as much time as you need. And if you need to sit down and you would like to take the microphone and stay
Sit at the
seated,
table.
you're more than welcome to do that, or you can sit at the table.
There's a microphone there.
All right. Good evening, members of the council. My name's Joe Home, and I have brought 2 items tonight. One is speeding, and the other one is noise. Something should be done with speeding up and down Puggy Lane and Cannon Avenue going north, from south to north. At that intersection, there's a stop sign. No one even sees it. They just go right through it. And I sit there every night and I watch my cameras, and it's the same people every night. Speeding, I have, during the day, I wrote down all the license plate numbers and the vehicle, the color and what it is, and I keep a file of speeding or noise. And the noise, that's another problem. But if something can be done with the speeding, I was thinking maybe a speed bump someplace. It's horrible the way they speed on that road. And no one seems to, there's a lot of kids there. And I'm afraid that they're riding their bikes and stuff now in the summer. And I don't want to see anybody get hurt. That'll take care of that one. And the other one is noise. There's a guy down the street from me, about 100 feet. 2 or 3 times a week, he opens up his barn door. He has 6 or 7 of his friends drive up. And
Sir, why don't you sit
they
down
bang
and
on
we
the
can
drums
give you the mic.
until 9 o'clock, 9:30, and sometimes after 10 o'clock. This has been going on for 3 years, over 3 years, and I can't take it anymore. I have a brain abnormality because of that, and the noise triggers in, and I have to go to the hospital. I have my, to help myself.
Sir, if you need to sit down, I really don't want to make you stand, and if it's hard for you to stand, please sit, and we can get you the microphone to finish your comments. Please don't feel like worried about standing or sitting.
So just take the mic out of the thing.
I have.
Oh, hold on, you can hold this.
Thank you. Thank you, very accommodating. Thank you.
Just take your time. It's okay. If you need to catch your breath and you want to continue, just go ahead.
Okay. To help myself, I boarded my windows up. And I don't have to live like this because he's allowed to bang on the drums and play all kind of weird music. After 9 and sometimes 10. I already called the police at least a dozen times, and they go down and they tell him to stop, but that's as far as it goes. It's a public nuisance under your laws. Article 217-4 states you cannot you cannot create a public nuisance, and that's what this is. It's a public nuisance. He needs to go someplace else. If he wants to practice. The other night, I went out on my porch. It was 10:15, and he was still banging on the drums and stuff, and I can hear it. And I don't feel like going to the emergency room or calling the EMTs every time this happens. This is not my fault that I'm like this. It was because of my service to the country. And I don't need to live like this with my windows boarded up. I don't get any sunshine, and I don't get any air, and that's not right. I'm finished. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much for your comment. Is there anybody else who would like to speak during public comment period? Officer, can you just make sure that he's okay if he needs to get up or do anything? Thank you very much.
Go ahead, you're standing there. For a minute. Yeah. I want to see you do 60 seconds.
You guys really outdid yourself this time around. Hunter, congratulations. I think you probably lead the pack in terms of intelligence and brains. I know that was difficult. I know you'll get wire brushed. The expression is later for not voting with the crew. But the bottom line is you're the only one. Well, Chad came up with a few that were good. And I don't mean just because of what I believe. It's because you think about it, you understand the process, you know what's needed, and you clearly demonstrated that. You had thought about it. I don't know about the rest of the people on this board. They like to talk a lot. And that's why we're here at 9:23. The bottom line is this woman that was up before me, When you sit and think about this development across the way here, why do they have to build an extra number of homes to do what they want to do? They want to squeeze every dollar out, and they're going to take it out right through the taxpayer, because for things like your turnaround you were talking about, behind the building, you come in with a fire truck, and what happens if the building goes crazy and you got to get your fire truck out of there? Where are you going to turn around? You can't. Well, the simple solution is lop off one of the units. Yeah, but then we're going to lose money. Everything I heard out of their mouth was lose money. By the way, I just wanted to make a comment about this pay-to-play statement that everybody thought was pretty good. Hey, you take care of that barn, you rebuild that barn, and we will send a favorable report on to the next committee. To me, that's pay-to-play. You can take it any way you want. I know Mr. Gaduzian isn't listening. The clock's got a lot of time, unfortunately. Just sitting here listening to you, the thoughtlessness, you have things you want to talk about, and you can't even make simple motions of what you want. That's pathetic. I mean, for all I know, all we need is the attorney and Jay and the engineer. You hear them when they answer. It's this, this, and this. You take hours to make the simplest decisions. It's really just hard to believe. Lynn Hill, hard to believe that she actually said the things she did. Things are looking up. I think people must be understanding it in terms of that. By the way, there was one item on the financial report for about $400 at some tavern somewhere. I'd certainly like to know where that went to and why. All right. Just too many items, sorry. 2, 1, thank you. It's not thank you. I wish you guys do your homework and you wouldn't be so lazy. After 28 years, is it, Priscilla? How much money have you raised for that homestead to rebuild it?
Thank you for your comment.
Well, that's a real comment, and you want to hide that, believe me, because if you don't really care about it, there's no sweat equity, VOC. The bottom line is you won't get anywhere. You're going to take it out of the taxpayer's hide, just like Chad, or just like Chad said.
Thank you for your comment.
No, I'm not good. I am Mark Ozemick, the neighborhood asshole. What I'm going to talk about was brought up here 1 or 2 meetings ago with the oh crap, my next door neighbor, Easton Fish and Game Gun Club. And I left the paper at home I wanted to bring, so I don't remember what was on that. But I do know when old man Chunko was alive and he owned the property, he explained everything to me, and we went over everything before I went and purchased my property. So now, since the meeting, the gun club has had another surveyor come, and they're 30, 40 feet into my property, putting stakes and hammering pins in the ground, and that's just like outrageous. I was gonna pull them out and bring them here to you tonight and tell you to return them to the people that put them in there, because I actually found out who it was, because the gun club won't call me, they won't return emails. So I happened to see the guys working on another pin down the road the other day. And they're trespassing because there was a back alley back there, 20 feet wide. And apparently they decided that the fence that they put up was in the center of that alley. That's what I was told, because I talked to another surveying company that did some investigation. Now, if that fence that they installed is on the center of that alley, which is now grass, then when they hired the surveyors, they're trespassing up on all our properties, not just mine, but my next door neighbors and Mike and Stacy's. Hammering pins and putting stakes in with flags on them. So I haven't found time yet, but I'm gonna go down to the courthouse and see if I could dig up old records from like the 1800s, because I was recommended I do that. And I also redo another title search, what they did when I bought my house, and that was fine according to them. But there is an issue with whatever's going on back there. And I know I ain't giving up 5 feet, let alone 30 or 40. I've been taking care of it for 24 years. I cleaned the car parts out. I got rid of the scrap. I picked up the glass. I got rid of the garbage, all laced through the woods, in which that's what people did back in the 1800s. So I put my time into it, and, you know, it seems like the gun club may have, you know, talked to some of their guys and speeding slowed down and some of the nonsense, but they haven't been back there doing anything. I'll have to let you know what else I can come up with. As far as, oh, somebody mentioned social media.
Mr. Ozimek, I just want to
I know.
remind you that we're through the 3 minutes, so if you could just.
I noticed I'm blocked from tagging Lower Saucon Township on Facebook now. I must have irritated somebody.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anybody else who would like to come forward? There's one other member of the audience who hasn't spoken, I think, but I think we're done with public comment then. So now we are on to council reports. Priscilla, do you have a report?
Yes, I attended the Lower Saucon Township Historic Committee meeting on June 15th. And I just want to add something about the Heller Homestead. This is just an information for you guys. The homestead, and when Laura and I were officers, we held many barn tours, and the money was reserved to go towards the barn. And we were able to pay a contractor, I believe it was about $15,000 to fix the arch, and it went around to the first window. So the Conservancy did raise money and did that. And I just wanted to let you all know that, because I think that's important for you to know.
Thank you. Hunter, do you have a report?
Yeah, short and sweet. I attended our pension committee meeting for the second quarter. And takeaway is, despite a volatile market, pension funds are doing well. Other than that, I don't think I'm going to see any of you guys before the 4th of July. So hope everyone has a happy, safe 4th of July, celebrating the 250th. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hunter. Laura?
The pension committee does a good job.
All right, yeah, I just have a short little reminder. For EAC, just want to remind people, I know the postings have been going out, that we will be doing electronic recycling in September, so just so people think of it instead of trying to toss things like that, put them aside. September 19th, we'll have our e-cycling here at the township. That's a Saturday morning. Also, EAC will be at a table at Community Day in Hellertown, Dimmock Park. That's on August the 15th. We will be doing signups for our composting workshop. So the composting workshop will actually happen at our October EAC meeting, but we'll be signing up. It's open to anybody, not just residents. The compost bins will be available for $20, and they will be picked up at our workshop in October. So just keep those things in mind. Hope to see you at Community Day. That's it.
Chad?
Well, not only do we got July 4th coming up, but this Sunday is Father's Day. And as a dad of two, I'd like to wish a happy Father's Day to every single dad out there, and the married ones too. I got a Father's Day joke for you. How did Darth Vader always know what Luke was going to get him for Father's Day? Anybody? He sensed his presence. Come on. What, did that joke feel forced to you? Okay, moving on. May 27th, I attended We Can Serve PA's Environmental Advisory Council Roundtable on road salt pollution and municipal strategies to reduce the impact. From this conversation, I believe it's Cranberry Township, found that the biggest savings and bang for the buck for them was road condition information sensors that they put in the ground, 34-to-1 cost-benefit ratio in Butler County, where it can come back with an AI predictive tool that shows the temperature of the roadway and any precipitation that's falling there so that they can direct where the plows need to go, and that as it starts to encroach, that the Public Works gets an automatic notification that they need to come in. So
That's
you don't
cool.
have to have them just sitting around in the garage wasting time, waiting to see what happens. So there's some ways that you can probably invest in some sensors to increase the efficiency of and safety out there during inclement weather in winter by reducing the amount of salt that we spread. So that's one of the big things that I took from that. June 1st, Parks and Rec. One of the big things we keep talking about in Park and Rec is Easton Road and the safety at the ball field that we have there. The parking situation just cannot handle the amount of vehicles for all the family members that come out to watch their kids play. It's simply not big enough. People are parking on the grass, backing onto Easton Road, and I'm making a point right now that I think something needs to be done about that. I'm not sure what or how, but you know, just wait until somebody gets hit by one of the tractor trailers going through the warehouses down there, or, you know, forbids one of the little leaguers. This room is going to be filled with people up in arms over that. So I feel like something needs to be done there. And again, it's a difficult situation because it's a state road, and so PennDOT really is going to limit what we can do. But I'd like to pursue something about that. No, the church parking lot apparently doesn't want to do it because of garbage and refuse complaints or concerns, although this was proposed to them without giving them any financial compensation for it. So maybe there's a move there. I know that we have a new development of a warehouse going in at Caddy or down the road at Mockingbird Hill there, where they're going to have parking facilities that might, maybe there's a way to collaborate with them. And that I also know that we talked a couple of years ago with the property owners adjacent to them about maybe purchasing their residences to have access to that, to make it into a parking lot and gain access to sewer, septic, and water facilities to help increase that. So I think that there's things we need to look at the ball field. Movie in the parks, dates, everybody. Zootopia, June 26th is coming up. That's next Friday, I believe, at Town Hall Park. Zootopia 2, July 17th in Steel City. Lilo and Stitch, the 2025 version, August 21st at Polk Valley Park. What else do I got here? The EAC on June 9th. Laura already talked about the calendar of events. You talked about the electronics recycling. We talked about the composting. We talked about Community Day. Is there anything that we missed? I think that's everything.
It's got it covered over there.
So she's got it covered today. And then this past Monday, the 15th, I was with Priscilla for the historical meeting where we did a debrief of Heritage Day and talked about some plans that we can improve for next year. So looking forward to ideas and suggestions and community involvement on that. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Chad. I will say we had Water Authority meeting yesterday. I do want to invite the community. It's a very monumentous event for the Water Authority, which is an all-volunteer board, by the way. Saves a lot of taxpayer dollars because we pay for the service for our water, public water and sewer. There was a sewer pump station finally completed across the street from Giant on 412 that since the Giant shopping center went in, This thing has been in concept and needed to be done for all of that time. And over the last couple years, the Water Authority had been able to get grants and they were able to fund it to get the pump station finally done. And so the pump station is having a ribbon cutting on Saturday morning, I believe at 10 a.m. So everybody is invited to do that. They are dedicating the pump station to the former Water Authority manager. And so it's going to be a great day. All of council is invited. I encourage them to come. I know the Water Authority has been over many councils with this, so it would be wonderful if anybody has any time Saturday morning to come and support that effort. There is an upcoming ribbon cutting for a local small business that's coming in called Get Joy Ice Cream and Coffee. I'm gonna plug that. It's in July. I can't remember the exact date. I think it's July 4th. It might be July. It's in July, but please, it's been going all over social media. Check that out. It's a wonderful concept where they employ special needs folks and partner them with able folks, and they sell coffee and ice cream and to the community. And it'd be wonderful to have an ice cream shop that close on 378 side, because the only ones we have are down in Hellertown. So it's just gonna be a wonderful concept. So I encourage everybody to come out to that grand opening. They've had two soft openings just briefly to sell coffee, and I'm sure there's gonna be more, but that's that item. Otherwise, I will say maybe we can just check into with the police with what's going on over at Puggy Lane, that area there. I know we had those speeding signs on Meadows Road. Maybe they can figure out if one is necessary, whatever, just to investigate that situation over there. And that's all I have. So I'm gonna move to adjourn.
What about the?
Oh,
No.
sorry. Sorry.
Come on, Jay.
I apologize. We have staff reports, and the engineer is still here, so I'm gonna go with him because he's never here.
Brian stayed just to get.
Brian, sorry.
Gotta do something now.
You stayed till the end, Brian.
I don't have anything.
No. Oh, Jay, suspense, let's go.
Thank you. Started accepting applications for next year's junior council members. It's on the website, Facebook, and we also notified the school district. I can get rid of that one because that was already covered. That one's already covered. Parks and Recreation, there are now AEDs in all the township parks that were mostly funded by grants. There's a vacancy on the Park and Recreation Board. We're accepting applications from interested parties. They can apply through the Lower Saucon Township website, and it's also being advertised on Facebook, our Facebook page. The much-awaited fire apparatus study kickoff meeting is scheduled for June 30th with the consultant at the Department of Economic Development has engaged to do that on behalf of the township. I can report that the individual that was in with Puggy Lane, the police have been up there trying to address that. Unfortunately, he left. So you have to also remember, in a residential community, before the police can ever issue statements, there's tickets that there's speed you need to get over, or it's not going to be enforced by the district magistrate, but they are aware of that, and I believe they started doing some specific enforcements last week when the gentleman was in. I believe he was in last week when the gentleman was in. The stop sign violations, that was the first I heard of it. I don't recall him making that complaint when he was in the last time, so I'll bring that to the chief's attention. And
Thank you.
And just so you're aware, the noise ordinance in the township is in effect from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So if they're going over at 10:15 and shutting it down, then the police are assisting in the compliance with the noise ordinance. If you recall, when Meadows opened, there was some concerns from residents relative to speed on Meadows Road, and did a real quick traffic study from Hanover Engineering that came nowhere near the capacity that you need to do for a traffic signal and that type of stuff. And
Even like a stop sign or anything?
stop sign, right? Well, the first thing you have to keep in mind that a stop sign cannot be installed to curtail speed. And it's actually been proven that if you put a stop sign in, it actually increases speed after the stop sign for people to compensate for having to stop even at that brief period of time. And for a stop sign to go in, there's many criteria to obtain the warrants. One of them is the amount of time it takes someone to get out of a side road or adjoining road. And that intersection on Meadows Road would never meet that first criteria, which is the timing through the intersection. Accidents, there's all sorts of criteria, sight distance, yada, yada, yada. So it wouldn't meet it. And what we found on one of those speed boards was that almost 74% of the vehicles that passed through there from May 4th to May 22nd complied with the speed limit. And then 25% on top of that were within the range where you really couldn't write a ticket that would stick in front of a district magistrate. So you're almost at 99% of the vehicles that go on Meadows Road are in compliance, because you have the outlier who decides that it's good to go on turnpike speed. They are stopped. Additionally, in May 26th to June 4th, the police department ran some proactive enforcement details, dedicated to 54 hours out there, and 38 vehicles were stopped. There was some warnings issued. There was a stop sign violation on Meadows and Skibo, a left-hand turn prohibited at Meadows and 412, a verbal warning for the Paul Miller log violation that I now believe is now in effect, so there would have been a ticket.
Oh, it's the cell phone.
Cell phone law, but this occurred before it, and when they were given the warnings. There was 24 citations for speed limit violations, 1 citation for driving under suspension, and one also, an individual was cited for driving a vehicle with a suspended registration. So I think the speed, although a concern for the residents, through the analysis we've done and enforcement, the vast majority of people comply, and whether you put a stop sign or anything in, you're always going to have the outlier. So I think that hopefully will address it. I also had on the previous agenda, which I unfortunately wasn't at that meeting, the Monroe County and the Northampton Lehigh County combined guidelines for the local share grants were passed down, and need some input from council as to what we should apply for. Staff had come up with a plan over the years on what to apply when these things came up. But with anything, the environment changes. We need to look at funding for the rebuild of the southeast fire station. We're going to need to replace patrol vehicles in the next year. So I think we've tried 3 applications for the Public Works addition. We were successful on 2 out of 3. It usually is not productive to go back after the third one. So I think the best approach would for us to apply for some of the big ticket items, which would be the demolition of the old southeastern fire station partially, and then the addition out there, some of the police vehicles, and also some of the significant public works assets that we would need to replace in 2007, which would be a Mack truck. Mack trucks, unfortunately, when I started in this business, were under $100,000, and now they're $350,000, $375,000. The case loader that we have is approaching 25 years old. That's $250,000. And then the roller is also approaching 25 years old. With these assets, just the upkeep on them, it's not worth it. So does anyone have any suggestions or input?
I will just start off by saying, at least in my time, we've always had the manager and the finance director kind of make their recommendations to what they wanted to apply the grant for. But I am especially in favor of essential services as a first priority. So, you know, anything that would help our fire company with the Southeastern Station would be number one for me, and number two, a close second, would be the Public Works large apparatus. They're called apparatus, large equipment assets that are needing replacement. That's my input.
I'd like to see Jay, if you could work on a list so that we don't have to think about this all the time. I think that it should be updated. I know we had a list at one time.
The list was actually included in the 2026 budget.
In our budget, okay, sorry.
Oh, you can no, that's okay. I mean, once the budget's approved, usually we don't go
Slipped
back.
my mind.
We don't go back in. It's not bedtime reading.
So was there anything significant on that page?
Well, it's the dump truck and the roller and the loader. So those are the things, as well as the Southeast Fire Station.
Well, I think the fire station's, in my mind, more important. I think that's a priority. You think?
Okay, appreciate it.
Hunter.
And Chad, if you could see me after the meeting, I got something for you.
Okay. Do you have any input as to priorities for the grant applications?
Talking to me?
Well, you just, Hunter.
Oh.
Sorry.
I do not. I think you guys had good recommendations.
Chad?
Yeah, I'd want to look at the list to refresh and see what all the choices or suggestions were.
Yeah, I was not part of prior council.
I mean, I don't
for
remember the budget from a year ago. Papers.
I think it's.
I'll redistribute the recommendations.
Do we have to get the grant out?
The grant application opens July 1st, so it closes 9:30, but I've seen over the years that the ones that get in early get better consideration.
Okay.
So I will get that out in the next couple of days.
Super.
Is there any updates on the new fire truck?
I remember something I forgot to mention before is there is Community Day, and I understand and love that EAC is going to be there promoting EAC things. But I know some of our members of council that attended Community Day last year, I understand they were receptive to the township having a tent there and offering information to the community members. Hellertown Borough has a tent council, or their council had a tent. There was also a tent there from Rep. McKenzie. So I would love to see if Lower Saucon can, as a council, have representation at Community Day this August.
Well, I think we should have, Parks and Rec should be there, perhaps.
I mean, maybe there's a big tent and we can have EAC, council, whoever else. We're all members of council and liaisons to these boards.
Yeah.
So.
Township had a tent.
I'm planning on being there.
So, well, I know last year we didn't, council, nobody from Lower Saucon was represented.
We've been there for a couple of years.
So I think if there's a way to make the tent bigger to have council and EAC sit together, or whoever.
Yes.
I don't know who made the application for EAC, I'm just putting that out there.
Carol put it together.
Okay.
And she has a banner, like an LST banner, a green one. Yeah.
Is it like EAC or is
No,
it
it's not
generic?
EAC specific, it's just
Okay.
Lower Saucon Township.
Okay.
So I don't know if her application is specific to the EAC or if it's
Okay.
just the township.
Yeah, we can just
But-
find that out, and then if necessary, whatever the township needs to do to make sure we can, because I think it would be nice.
We are planning
I will look
on,
into it.
we're planning on having a crafting event for children where they can build a mason bee house, where it's a tin can where you put bamboo stalks in it, and then you mount that on your property, and it provides a habitat for native pollinators. So we're gonna have a table with that, and then they're also gonna have one of our composting bins that we're gonna be doing our composting workshop there as a demonstration and having people sign up for that. So
Okay.
I don't know if there's gonna be room, but if you could get a second tent next to us.
I guess
that
they'll
would be
figure it out,
great.
because I've been there and I've seen other groups do like a crafting
I'm
area
with you.
and whatever,
Yeah.
so I'll let the staff figure it out, we just want space to have the township represented in addition to whatever EAC's pre-planned. Whatever you need, chairs, tents, tables, I don't care.
Got it.
Okay, cool.
Hope to see you there.
Sorry, that was the other thing I forgot.
A couple months ago.
August.
15th, I think.
The third Saturday, isn't it?
It's a Saturday in August, I forget.
August 15th.
I was right. Yes.
Thank you. And Victoria, if you could just sign the rest of those certificates before you leave.
Absolutely.
So I will say on the grants, since you just talked about the grants, all the sign-offs on the grants that we already got for Public Works buildings came through this week that I signed off on in email.
I was gonna ask that question because
No, they send it electronically to sign off on, and,
I didn't get anything.
well, I think
the
they only need
applications would have
one.
gone in when Laura was chair,
Yeah, so-
president, so then
That's why.
she would have gotten it.
I didn't want to hold anything up, so I just signed off on them.
Thank you.
We adjourn now.
Solicitor?
Oh, darn.
Make a motion, go ahead. Adjourn.
Come on, Steve.
He doesn't have a report, so.
Come on,
make a
talk about your
motion.
kids, how awesome they are.
It is 10 o'clock. I would have talked about my kids 2 hours ago. but not
Okay.
now.
Make a motion. It is 10 o'clock, what heck, what happened?
All right.
You can just adjourn, the time
Please,
is
we're adjourned.
9:58.
We are adjourned.
We are
Thank you.
adjourned.
Have a good night, everybody.
Don't need a motion. Oops, don't need that.